game time talk, we the ones who connect.
X-Rated Sports Network.
Where the hot takes live and the truth get checked. East Coast talk, West Coast swagger. Stats on the board, yeah, the debate get louder. No filter talk, yeah, we calling the play. If it's sports conversation, we leading the way. From the hardwood to the gridiron plays. Breaking every matchup, every headline debate.
X-Rated Sports Network.
Yeah, remember the name.
Yeah, welcome to the X-Rated Sports Network, where the takes get loud and the truth get exposed. Let's talk about it. X-Rated Sports Network.
If it's game time talk, we the ones who connect.
X-Rated Sports Network.
Where the hot takes live and the truth get checked. East Coast talk, West Coast swagger. Stats on the board, yeah, the debate get louder. No filter talk, yeah, we calling the play. If it's sports conversation, we leading the way. From the hardwood to the gridiron plays. Breaking every matchup, every headline debate.
X-Rated Sports Network.
Yeah, remember the name.
Yeah, welcome to the X-Rated Sports Network, where the takes get loud and the truth get exposed. Let's talk about it. X-Rated Sports Network.
If it's game time talk, we the ones who connect.
X-Rated Sports Network.
Where the hot takes live and the truth get checked. East Coast talk, West Coast swagger. Stats on the board, yeah, the debate get louder. No filter talk, yeah, we calling the play. If it's sports conversation, we leading the way. From the hardwood to the gridiron plays. Breaking every matchup, every headline debate.
X-Rated Sports Network.
Yeah, remember the name.
Yeah, welcome to the X-Rated Sports Network, where the takes get loud and the truth get exposed. Let's talk about it. X-Rated Sports Network.
If it's game time talk, we the ones who connect.
X-Rated Sports Network.
Where the hot takes live and the truth get checked. East Coast talk, West Coast swagger. Stats on the board, yeah.
Yo, you are here with us on Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network, and the band is back together. It is Rick Kamla. It is Dwight Walton. The great Dr. X is back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo,
coming to you live from a hotel room in Huntsville, Alabama, where he had a sparkling weekend. We have A.M. Pfeffer back. We are going to get Brandon Armstrong back per reports. Shams Charania is reporting that B-Dot's going to join the show today. So, Doc and A.M., it is awesome to see you guys. How you guys doing, man?
You too,
Hope you had a
Rick.
great Easter.
Oh, it's been great, man. Missed you, brother. Missed you. Missed all of you guys. Welcome back, Am, from your vacation.
Hey, man, thank you very
I
much.
was
Same
talking,
to all
Dwight.
of
I
you.
was
Great to
talking.
see you. Oh, yeah.
You know what, Rick? We got so much going on, man. Let's get to it, brother. Let's get to it.
Oh, I like it. I like it, Dwight. Dwight is like, he's the jockey on the horse. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's
Ray's like,
win
enough
the
with the
baby.
formalities, enough with the glad handing and the
Let's
back,
go.
back snapping. Let's go. Let's talk.
I have one more announcement before we dive into our topics. This is a gigantic show. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Hall of Famer, UCLA legend, Meyers Drysdale joining the show. She was with the team. She's in close concert with Corey Close, okay? She's an executive with the Phoenix Mercury and Suns broadcaster and one of the great basketball figures of all time. Following her, it'll be Mitch Lawrence, who is one of the greatest sports writers of all time. So, and we have a bunch of cool topics. We know about all the NBA stuff, but we're going to be starting with college basketball. The women's natty was yesterday. The men's natty is tonight. And we start with the women's natty, okay? UCLA crushed South Carolina. First Lady Bruin natty in the modern era, dating back to 1978, when the great Meyers Drysdale had a near quadruple double in UCLA's win back in 1978. We'll talk to her about that. This game, 79-51, probably the worst loss of Dawn Staley's coaching career. And when you talk about South Carolina, they shot 29% in the game. ESPN had a graphic, not sure how accurate this is, but they said for the season, South Carolina shot 50%. Really? Okay, I'll just take your word for it. They shot 29% against UCLA. To me, UCLA's defense was the story here. They hit South Carolina in the mouth with sticky defense, got them off balance, out of rhythm, and South Carolina never got comfortable, never recovered, never really was in the game. Gabriela Jaquez, Jaime's sister, 21, 10, and 5. Lauren Betts was spectacular again, 14, 11 with 2 blocks, 1 MOP. All 5 starters in doubles. Tessa Johnson led South Carolina's feeble offense with 14 points. None of USC's starters, get this, none of South Carolina's starters made a 3. That's insane. Okay, congratulations to UCLA coach Corey Close for navigating this gauntlet. Here's the debate, guys. There's really nothing to talk about in this basketball game except one thing, which we'll get to in a minute. I want to debate WNBA draft. We just saw Lauren Betts go nuts on this thing and win it. AZ Fudd, a lot of people kind of just say she's the number 1 overall pick, like it's a foregone conclusion. I don't see it that way, but I don't want to go first here. I want to go around the room, and I want to bring in the great Dr. X here. It's one of your gals, Doc, UConn AZ Fudd, but we got the 6'7" Lauren Betts, who's great, and then we got AZ Fudd, who's also great. Who would be the number 1 overall pick for you, Dr. X?
I have to go with the experts, and I'll probably go with AZ Fudd. Curious to see where Sarah Strong goes as well. But I wouldn't be mad at Betts at 6'7". Who's the tallest player currently in the WNBA?
That's a good
Off the top of
question.
my head, I don't know.
That's a good
Off
question.
the top of my head, I don't know.
Who's
I'm
there?
not sure there's
Who's
anybody.
there? Victor Wembanyama.
I'm not sure there's anybody taller than 6'7" though in the WNBA.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
so,
I think she might be the tallest.
It looks like size is becoming paramount now with a lot of teams and has given people the advantage. I think at one point they were saying South Carolina might have the edge in the UConn. I think Chastity Melvin was saying that UConn could lose because of the size of South Carolina, but then South Carolina goes against UCLA and they look like they're having size issues as well. So I could see why people would prioritize that, especially the fact that she won. But in the WNBA, I just feel like the talent's way better, and it might cancel out. Just like how some bigs that we see who are performing well now may not translate to the NBA game. And so we have to wait and see type of approach. But I'd probably go with AZ Fudd. I think guard play, when we think of the greats in the WNBA, we think of a lot of our guards as well. So, and especially right now.
Doc, I love it. Brittany Griner, 6'9". And Brittany Griner, of course, is very, 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 very. I love her, but she's very close to the end. If I know you guys pay attention, like she is getting real close to the end here. But shout out to Brittany Griner. Margot Diedick, back in the day, 7'2", tallest player of all time. Dwight Walton, you have the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft. Are you taking AZ Fudd or Lauren Betts?
Fellas, after my research, I am taking neither at number 1. Pretty much, if you go across all of the draft prognostications, it is a young woman out of Spain. Her name is Awa Pham, 6'6", athletic, does it all. Dribble, passes, shoots, runs the floor, shoots the ball from distance, rebounds in traffic, can make a jump hook over either shoulder, terrific defensively. I won't quite call her the Victor Wembanyama of women's basketball, but just based on the metrics, on the projections, the potential, Awa Pham will be the number 1 pick in the draft. The Dallas Wings cannot use emotion with this pick. They cannot pick AZ Fudd because of her relationship with Paige Beckers. It would be a great story, but if I had the choice between Fudd and Lauren Betts, I'm taking Lauren Betts. This is no disrespect to AZ Fudd, but AZ Fudd is turning out to be, quite frankly, one-dimensional. I know she can make shots off the dribble. I know she can make decisions off the dribble. We all know that she can shoot the basketball. But for the greater part of the second half of the season, she struggled not only from the perimeter, but from distance in particular. And she didn't, except for one game, have a good game in the NCAA tournament. Now, has her stock dropped a little bit? It's possible, but I think the place where she will fall into might end up working out in her favor because she's from the Seattle, Washington area. I think the Seattle Storm are primed to take her at number 3. Again, the number 1 pick is going to be Awa Pham out of Valencia, Spain. But if I had my choice between AZ Fudd and Lauren Betts, I'm taking Betts. You can't teach height. You can't teach a player who wants to do the stuff, the grind work as a tall player. She will be one of the taller players in the WNBA, and she's coming off a national championship. She has spoken about her mental health journey since she's gotten to the UCLA campus. She's a totally different person. She's going into the WNBA much more mature. And again, she's a national champion. So Awa Pham will be the number 1 pick. But if I had my choice between Betts and Fudd, I'm taking Lauren Betts.
AM Pfeffer, you going Betts or Fudd if you have the number 1 overall pick?
Well, I'm with Dwight here. I mean, it's going to be Pham. This is about need, right? I mean, Dallas.
I'm not so sure about that. I'm just going to say I'm not so sure about that. I love you guys, but I'm not so sure about that. Go ahead.
But this is about need because Dallas picks first, right? I mean, Paige Buecher's just got there last year. You're not going to double up with another guard. You need a center down there. They've got a ton of forwards on that team. They need a real center. So this is about Pham or Betts, right? I mean, and for that very reason, I'd take Betts. And for everything Dwight and Doc just said, I would take Betts. 6'7" and an absolute force. And she put the team in her back. I mean, by the way, there's going to be 3 players, I think, coming out of UCLA who are going to be top 10 picks this year, including their point guard. So, they've got all the makings. They've got all the players. AZ Fudd was incredible. I think she shot 45 or 46% for the season from three-point range. You never don't need that. I don't care what team you are, who you are. That is, when you have a sharpshooter like that, approaching 50% from three land, forget it. That's never a problem, but you need size, right? This is the WNBA. And when you have a center who is an absolute force like that, I'd take Betts. I mean, it's probably going to be Awa Pham, but if we're really just bringing it down to these two and I'm Dallas, it's not even a question. I'm taking Lauren Betts. That's my need.
I love it, dude. So Awa Pham, I want to make this point right here. So she is listed some places at 6'6". FIBA lists her at 6'4". Tankathon.com lists her at 6'4". We're going to need the combine measurement on Awa Pham, but I think 6'6" is more 6'4" based on what I'm seeing. If you do a Google search, AWA space FAM, you will see 166 and you'll see a bunch of 6'4". Just saying. This to me is not even close to a foregone conclusion. I don't know why you would take Awa Pham over Lauren Betts, okay, who's minted and proven. She is the first ever player, male or female, to have an NCAA tournament with 125 plus points, 50 plus rebounds, 15 plus blocks, and 65 plus % from the field. In the men and women's game, all time. Okay, for the season, she went 17-9, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal. I want that fantasy line. Fudd went 17.3, very low rebounds and assists because she's a 2.5 steals, which is elite, and 54% from 3, which is elite. Awa Pham. Dwight gave you the whole rundown on her, right? Olivia Miles is also in this conversation. The point guard for TCU flirts with triple doubles. She's third on Tankathon, ahead of Betts. Fudd is 2, Pham is number 1. You guys might be right. I'm not taking Pham over Lauren Betts. No way. Okay, so here's more on Betts. She's the number 1 pick in this draft for me. Just won the Natty, most outstanding player. 6'7" with touch, sweet feet, motor, clutch, championship DNA. A lot of that stuff, Pham might have it, she might not have it, but we know that Betts has it. Guards are important, and Fudd is an elite shooter and defender. But I feel like that player is easier to find in the big picture than a player like Betts or perhaps even a player like Pham, although I think that's more of a dice roll. I would take Fudd over Pham as well. Pham would slot in at 3 for me overall. Who are the most dominant players in the WNBA? They're big. Asia Wilson, Nafisa Collier, Breanna Stewart, Alyssa Thomas, Angel Reese just got traded to the Dream. Let's go, Dream. Nneka Ogwumike, Jonquel Jones. Did I say Alyssa Thomas? I hope I did. And if I didn't,
Yes,
I just said it again. And she deserves to have her name said twice, okay? The greatest triple-double threat in WNBA. Sabrina, Plum, Paige, Clark, Arike, all that stuff. And they're great, but they don't dominate the league like the ladies 6'2" and up. Guys, 7 of the top 10 players in the 2K WNBA rankings are bigs, 70%, for what it's worth. There will be an AZ Fudd in every draft moving forward. There will not be a Lauren Betts in every draft moving forward. And as this conversation has proven, we have ourselves a good debate entering the WNBA draft, and I like it. Dr. X, you first on this. A little bit of a setup from your boy Cam here. Was South Carolina distracted? So that's the question. We may or may not be welcoming Geno Auriemma into this conversation. And we know why at this point, okay? But I'm not trying. If you want to make it about Geno, make it about Geno. If you don't, don't. The question is, was South, and I'm not saying that to you, Doc, I'm saying that to all of us. Was South Carolina distracted? They got blown out. That was crazy. Okay, Dawn Staley said we got smacked today. We got to figure out how we can smack back. This is now 2 straight title game losses for South Carolina. UConn last year, UCLA this year. And so obviously we're asking this question because of Geno's classless, disrespectful behavior. I could go on, but I don't want to eat up more time here. So Dr. X, you first, and we are going to start a 60-second clock here because we've got so much traffic with the great Meyers Drysdale coming up in about 13 minutes. 60 seconds, was South Carolina distracted?
No, I think to say they were distracted sounds like a huge excuse. You have the 2 best teams, in terms of winning and getting, through that bracket. And at that point, you only have 1 game ahead of you. Why would you be distracted? Distracted about what? I mean, you should be happy that you're in the national championship game. So you should be focused, if anything, hyper focused, just off adrenaline alone. I doubt anybody was thinking about any of the shenanigans of this weekend with Geno and Dawn Staley and the horrible apology. I doubt that even came into play. I think they just ran into a buzzsaw. I think they were undersized and they knew it and they capitalized on it. And then along with the defense, they just couldn't they just overwhelmed them. And in a game like that, your confidence could be shattered because it's 1 game only. There's no coming back. There's no seeing, oh, let's plan for the next game in a series. That's it. So you could get punched in the mouth and never recover.
Doc, I love it, man. I love what you said about Geno's horrible apology because it was. Let's go to AM Pfeffer here next. AM, do you think South Carolina was distracted yesterday in the Natty?
No, and I don't like any of these terms. I don't like distracted, rattled, traumatized by what Geno Auriemma did at the end of that game. Had nothing to do with any of that. Was Arizona distracted when they got waxed by Michigan? No, you're in the Final Four, right? I mean, this is what it is. You thumped down UConn. And like Doc said, you ran into a buzzsaw. It is what it is. UCLA was 37-1 this year. They've got 3 players who are going to go in the top 10 of the WNBA draft. It was their turn. Dawn Staley's a hell of a coach. She had her team prepared. I don't care who you were not going in and beating UCLA. They were on a mission to get this done. And not only were they on a mission, they were on a mission to whoever they played was going to beat them by 25. They would have done the same thing had it been UConn in that game.
Agreed.
South Carolina, Dawn Staley, teams, none of it matters. No one was distracted. UCLA was just that good.
All right, Dwight. Are we 3 for 3 here with you now too?
I could care less about Geno Auriemma. I want to talk about Corey Close. 4 players in the top 10 from her program. I know AM says 3. There's going to be 4 if you include Gabriela Jaquez. Size is important. Experience is important. Corey Close is a great coach. Let's start giving her flowers. Is it possible that South Carolina put all their efforts into beating UConn on that Friday night, who to me was the overwhelming favorite coming into the weekend? Come to find out that UCLA was clearly the best team in this tournament. Kudos to them. Again, their size was overwhelming. Defensively, they brought it the entire weekend. As a matter of fact, I think defense was the story of the entire Final Four. UConn being held to under 50 points for the first time since 2022, so on and so forth. UCLA, their size, their defense, they deserved it. Let's not talk about any distraction. South Carolina got beat, fair and square.
I like it. It's 4 for 4. All right, Geno doesn't deserve that credit or attention. Geno just needs to stay in the penalty box for a long, long time. Also, saying Geno distracted South Carolina takes all the credit away from UCLA, and I don't want to do that. And I hope other talking heads aren't doing that, although they may be. Don Staley was asked about Geno and talked about no distractions. Raven Johnson said right after the game, it wasn't that big of a deal. We're already on to the next game. Dwight said it. UCLA proved it. They were the best team in women's college basketball, probably on the men's side as well. Okay. Obviously, could they beat a men's team? No, but the resume, right? 37-1, only lost to Texas, who was a 1 seed and in the Final Four. And UCLA got revenge, holding them to 44 points, to Dwight's point about defense. UCLA was number 1 in strength of schedule. Number 1, number 2 in offense, okay? Geno has nothing to do with UCLA's smackdown of South Carolina. Now, I'm going to go first here. No timer, please, because I got to get this off my chest. Is it time for Geno Auriemma to retire? I'm going to say it again. Is it time? I'm going to ask again. Is it time for Geno Auriemma to retire? My answer is yes. I'm not a cancel culture guy. I don't usually join the angry mob, but I'm with the angry mob. To be clear, I am not calling for Geno to retire. I'm not saying he has to retire. Okay? It's different. Words, semantics. I'm saying it's time for him to retire. Number 1, Geno's a GOAT who's past his prime. Okay? He's losing touch with today's game. More importantly, today's culture. He is so arrogant and self-righteous that he can't get with it, okay? Just like Phil Jackson and Bill Belichick towards the end of their GOAT careers. Their arrogance would not allow them to morph and evolve with the way their sports were morphing and evolving. Phil insisted on running the triangle with non-triangular players. Program arrogance. Phil refused to adjust to the new style of play in the NBA, like Greg Popovich did so well. That's why I call Pop the GOAT over Phil Jackson. Because Pop went from all these different iterations of the NBA. Phil Jackson refused to do beyond anything but the triangle, okay? Belichick knew how to draft defense, had no clue how to draft offensive players. Guys, N'Keal Harry over Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown, and Terry McLaurin should have been fired right there. He also drafted Sony Michel over Nick Chubb. I mean, give me a freaking break. Belichick refused to tank following Brady's departure, ended up with Mac Jones instead of Trevor Lawrence, okay? He'd lost his way. Back to Geno. Delivered 1 national championship since 2016. 1. Excluding the COVID year, he's lost 8 of the last 9. That's not good. To me, that's a sign that he is slipping and past his prime. He won it last year, but Dr. X, me and you could have won coaching Paige Becker, Zazie Fudd, and Sarah freaking Strong, okay? And I'm serious about that. That is not sarcasm. Geno has adapted his coaching style over the years, and he can still recruit, bags of money, NIL. We get it. Geno's problem is that he's obnoxiously arrogant, and it's caused him to fall behind culturally. He's a chronic sore loser. This is not the first time. He's pulled this garbage before. He doesn't care how it looks. I mean, maybe he kind of does. But like Doc said, his apology was garbage. Why would a top recruit choose to play for Geno Auriemma over Don Staley? Why? After witnessing Geno get caught telling 2 lies, acting like a baby who needs her bottle and banky, and then you're a man completely disrespecting a woman who's also basketball royalty and immortality. Just doesn't make sense. To me, Geno shot himself and his program in the foot here, guys, because South Carolina has history too. Okay, they have tradition. They have badass players that have come through their program. They've got a great coach. And in terms of NIL budget, UConn and LSU are at the top. South Carolina is right behind. Okay, I have a prediction for you. Geno Auriemma will not win another national championship as the head coach at UConn, and I believe he will retire within a year or two. Dr. X, is it time for Geno Auriemma to retire?
I would say no. I think his PR needs to be stronger. I think he needs to take this time, as you said, be in timeout, come back stronger in the essence of just a real apology to Don Staley directly, maybe even, something public together. I don't know when they would have an opportunity to do that, maybe at the draft or something like that. Maybe there's a conversation that's had publicly just to smooth things over. I always think it's bad for a legend like that to leave on such a horrible note, and I think that they would be better served. I think the sport would be better served for him to at least get past this, and then to have another chance to smooth it over with his legacy and not leave. That would be horrible for him to leave, and that's the last thing that we ever see of him. And then ultimately, I think it is going to hurt recruitment. If other people have money now, why would you want to play for a coach that's outdated and is disrespecting women? And that's supposed to be your head coach. So it just kind of goes against that. And then, Gino should be more responsible with his position and his legacy, because look at all the wonderful players, the legends that came out of UConn, and a lot of them are going to be asked this question, and they don't want to throw their old coach under the bus because they know him personally more than anybody else. But now they have to say the right things, and so sooner than later he needs to hurry up and make this right, because ultimately he's putting a lot of greats in the line of fire, and himself as well as the program. And then that it's starting to bleed over to the men's division now as well, because now people who love to root for UConn just can't do it, because if they're a casual fan, they're just going to group everybody in together. And I just think it's bad press, and UConn should have did a better job of making sure that wasn't released until they checked him. Said that's not good enough, and we're going to add Don Staley's name to this, and you're going to sign off on it.
Doc, again, dude, we missed you, man. We missed your hot takes, bro. We got Dr. X back, baby. AM Pfeffer, you are next here, my friend. Is it time for Geno Auriemma to retire?
No, I don't think it's time for him to retire. Look, he's always been Geno or a drama, however you want to say it. I mean, this has been going on for decades with this guy. Didn't he just win 54 games in a row? Wasn't that before they just lost that game? I don't think the game has passed him by at all. I got to say, I mean, was he way out of line? Do I like his, none of that. I mean, ridiculous. And his apology was terrible. His lies were all there. Everything you're saying, Rick, is right. But I will say, I think it's a bit much to say that he's disrespecting women because of the way he came over and talked to Don Staley. I mean, that's just a head coach talking to a head coach. You see that across the leagues, and I don't think it's fair to pin that on Geno Auriemma because he's a man who coaches women and went up to Don Staley. I mean, he was out of line doing what he was doing regardless of gender, right? That to me had nothing to do with it. And the way he apologized, I mean, he's Geno. He's got migraines. He's got temperament. He's got, he thinks he's the best, but he's turned UConn into a juggernaut. And that's I get it. He only won last year, but he's in the Final Four every single year. He does recruit. He does resonate with parents. He does resonate with young women, and he gives them a chance to move on and play in the WNBA and have great careers. I don't think Geno Auriemma needs to retire. He can retire on his own time. And lastly, and I understand what you're saying, I don't necessarily think it's fair to compare him to Phil Jackson or to Bill Belichick. To me, those two things don't really compute. I understand where we're going. If you want to put him and say, see, to me, I'm an Indiana guy, right? I looked at Bob Knight and his last 6 or 8 years there, he had to go. He lost it. He choked out Neil Reed, and he did some things and said some things and couldn't recruit anymore, and he was middling. Geno is still there year after year. Okay, so similar to the New York Yankees, you're in the playoffs every year, but you don't always win. And I guess if you want to move on from Geno because that's the case, that's fine. But good luck replacing him. Good luck finding another guy to fill those shoes to do that year after year. So he has earned the right, as sad as his antics were, he has earned the right to leave on his terms when he's ready to retire.
Okay, I love it. Dwight, I'm going to ask you to hit the pause button here real quick, and we are going to try to welcome on Hall of Famer ×3, UCLA legend and champion, Ann Meyers Drysdale. And there she is.
There
Annie,
she is.
Annie, what's up? It's your boy Cam. Welcome
She
to
got
Beyond
the
the
jersey.
Surface, and congratulations.
Hey guys.
Hey,
It is so great to
What's
see you,
going on,
Annie.
coach?
It is so great to see you. So I've got to give you the big intro here. We're talking about a Naismith Hall of Famer, a women's basketball Hall of Famer, a FIBA Hall of Famer ×3, okay? 3 gold medals, 4-time All-American at UCLA. Currently the VP of the Phoenix Mercury and the Phoenix Suns, color analyst for them on TV as well. Since joining the Mercury, they have won 3 championships. Annie is a pioneer in many, many ways, including the first woman to be inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame. And Annie, congratulations on the first UCLA national title since you led them to the AIAW national championship back in 1978. How does this feel for you? It's got to bring up great memories from the past too, right?
It really does. I'm so excited for this team and Corey Close and her staff. I mean, Corey's been in the game. I used to broadcast her games when she was at Santa Barbara. And so I knew what kind of intense leader she was, but seeing her grow throughout the years and when she went to South Florida at Florida State, certainly I think that she was such a disciple of Coach Wooden, and she has brought that back to UCLA.
So, Annie, I'm going to ask you a couple more questions, then I'm going to introduce you to the guys, and they will kind of take over and ask you a bunch of questions. So, what I want to kind of talk now and then go back in the day. What were the keys, Annie, to the first Lady Bruin national title in 48 years? Why and how did they win this?
Well, when we won it in 78, Billy Moore was our head coach. She was my coach for the 76 team, and as a matter of fact, coached at Cal State Fullerton and coached my sister Patty to a national championship back in 1970. So I've known Billy for a long, long time, and my senior year was the first year that she was at UCLA. We had 6 freshmen. This team has 6 seniors, and certainly Corey's been there 15 years now, but I think, no question that how difficult it is, and Dawn Staley has talked about it, and all the coaches, how difficult it is to get to a Final Four, whether it's on the men's or the women's side. And a lot of luck involved. Look at the Connecticut men's team on a last-second shot and Duke making a mistake. But certainly I think that it's, I'm just so proud because UCLA going back-to-back to a Final Four. And yeah, they got their shirts handed to them last year, but that always drives you. And I think all of you on this panel that have been there as an athlete, when you lose, you know what you have to do to correct things and what drives you also not to be in that same situation.
Great points. All right, Annie, one more for you. Like I said, we'll go around the room here. So please take us back and tell the story of your Bruins winning the national championship back in 1978. And guys, I'm kind of reading the stats here, so tell me if Annie blushes as I say this. Annie in the national championship game had 20 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, 8 steals in a 90-74 win over Maryland. And what I thought was cool, Annie, doing some research, she did have a quadruple-double earlier that season with 10 steals. So, Annie, talk about you and that group of Lady Bruins winning that national championship and you flirting with a quadruple-double. How the heck did you do that?
Well, certainly great teammates. Denise Curry was a freshman that year, and she led our scoring. I was the third leading scorer behind her and Anita Ortega. But, it goes back to my family. I'm from a family of 11 children. I've got 5 brothers and 5 sisters. And my brother David was playing at UCLA for Coach Wooden. And 1972, Title IX passed. 1975, I'm the first to get a full athletic scholarship at UCLA. And that would be my brother David's senior year. So watching him win national titles for Coach Wooden was pretty special, and wanted to be in that same position. 1976 would come along my sophomore year, and we go to the Olympics. The first time they have women's basketball in the Olympics, and we win silver. You had to be an amateur. The Soviet Union had a front line that averaged 6'6", and they had Uliana Semenova, who was as big as Shaq. So they were the gold medal winners. But we won silver, and certainly USA basketball has changed throughout the years, where the United States is now winning a lot of gold medals. But so in 75, I'm a freshman. My brother David wins a national title. It's a human interest story. You talk about Gabby and her brother, the Jaquez, brother and sisters, and Jaime. So, David and I were probably the first, even before Cheryl Miller and Reggie, and Reggie was at the right school. But, I think being around Coach Wooden a lot, and then just championship people at UCLA, and just living that lifestyle and what you believe in the pyramid of success. And my senior year, Billy Moore would come in. We had a wonderful communication with all the players. A lot of us didn't know each other, but we knew what we had to do. And certainly the times that we lost as a freshman and sophomore and junior not to get to the finals. And it was the first time they had a Final Four, which happened to be at Pauley Pavilion. We played Maryland earlier in the season before a men's game, and we ended up losing that game. We lost in Greensboro to NC State, and we also lost to Delta State back in a tournament in New York. But, so we ended up winning all through, going through the tournament. And but it was pretty special, obviously, being at UCLA. We knew what we had to do, and just great teammates. Like I said, Anita Ortega was fast and a great scorer for us. We played really solid defense. I think growing up, too, that what enabled me, I ran track at UCLA. I was a high jumper. So I played all 5 positions when I was a freshman. So I knew how to defend a post. I could post up. I could handle the ball and distribute the ball and switch over to point guard. But, I love playing defense. And I shut Maryland's guard out when we were in the finals. In the semis, we played Montclair State with Carol Blazejowski, who had 40 on us. We held her to 40, but she was the only one in double figures. So beating Montclair State, and Blaze was just a phenomenal player and led the nation in scoring. But going to the finals and playing Maryland was a rematch, and again we shut them down defensively, and that was a big key, is our defense and rebounding.
Oh, we love the storytelling here. The great Ann Meyers Drysdale is hanging out with us here on Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. And really appreciate your time here, Annie. She's wearing the UCLA gear. We're continuing the celebration with her. So let me introduce you to the fellows. Lower left, it is Dr. Phil McDonald, one of the top sports medicine radiologists in America, sports injury analyst for NBA TV. He owns a team in the TBT. He is an entrepreneur. He is a philanthropist, and he's a hell of a guy. Upper right, we have Dwight Walton, Canadian basketball legend. By the way, founder and creator of the X-Rated Sports Network. Pardon me, I forgot that. Dwight Walton, Canadian basketball legend, Annie, played in the Seoul Olympics in 1988 with Canada, averaged 7 points a game, had a long overseas career, and he's a badass too. And then you have A.M. Pfeffer in the lower right-hand corner. He's a businessman, an author, an anchor, a sports analyst, and also a heck of a guy. So this is the crew, Annie, and we welcome you to Beyond the Surface. And I get it back to Dr. X here for a question or two.
Hey, Ann, thank you so much for being on our show last minute, especially in light of this championship. I actually know Michael Warren. Do you know Michael Warren?
I just saw him
He
last
played
week.
during
Yes.
John Wooden.
Saw
Okay,
him
good.
last
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
Mike and I stay in
Yeah,
touch.
man.
Yes, used to play tennis
Okay,
with
good.
each other.
Great guy. Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah, I had a question about Lauren Betts. Where do you think she should get drafted?
The WNBA is so different than the NBA in the sense of, we have 13 teams now with Toronto and Portland. And as a matter of fact, Montreal was our first Olympics. So, kudos to Canada. Really
Yes.
excited about the Toronto tempo. But I think that Lauren's going to be a top pick. There's no question. Dallas has the number 1 pick, and they probably need a big. Whether that's the one they want to go after, but I know Paige Beckers is there, and does AZ Fudd go as the number 1 pick? We don't know. But a lot of good talent coming out. Unfortunately, last year, because of we had 11 teams last year. Golden State was a new team, and sometimes you're going to get drafted, and we only had 6 rookies make the teams because of the way the rosters were set up with veterans and having a salary cap. Obviously, with the collective bargaining agreement getting passed this year, the salaries have gone up. So there's still going to be a lot of juggling as far as managing the salaries. How many top players can you keep? And do you want to take, you're going to have to take a player that's got less salary that you can work it into the salary cap and so forth. So I mean, Lauren's going to go high. There's no question. I think in the top 3 at least. And I know they've got a gal over in France that a lot of people are high on too. But Lauren and her ability, not only her size, but her footwork, her passion for the game, and she's got a lot more to learn when you get to the next level too. But because it is more physical, it is fast. It's a different game, and when you've got women that now are playing into their 20s and 30s, we had Diana Taurasi here in Phoenix until she was 40, 41. Played 20 years in the WNBA. So the fact that we have a league that is viable and women can continue to play just like the men can, and LeBron in his 40s, and Kareem in his 40s, and so forth, and to be able to make a living in something that they love to do. Lauren's going to go high. I can't tell you what team she is going to select her.
Got it. Thank you so much.
All right, let's go to Dwight Walton. Dwight, couple questions for the great Annie Meyers Drysdale.
Miss Meyers Drysdale, first of all, I want to thank you for gracing us with your presence. You are one of the standards that all female basketball players should look up to. You're definitely in the You're definitely in the GOAT conversation. Your name needs to be mentioned a lot more than it is. I know of all the great players that we have currently, and in the social media era, we tend to focus on who's more recent. But please listen, I'm acknowledging that you are one of the greatest basketball players of all time, and you deserve to have your flowers mentioned today. Thank you very much.
Well, but I will let you guys know, I don't believe in the GOAT. I don't believe in that term at all. I think there's a lot of great players that have come along, and there'll be better players that come along after us.
I totally agree. Thank you very much. My question to you, listen, it's pretty clear that UCLA was the best team overall this season, and they confirmed it with their Final Four national championship this weekend. Now, Coach Corey Close, has possibly 4 of her players that are going to go in the top 10 in the draft over the next 10 days or so. We're talking about the aforementioned Lauren Betts. There's Kiki Rice, there's Gianna Neepkins, and there's Gabriela Jaquez. Now,
and Angela Dudelich.
And actually, that too, right? Her
and
too
Lisa
as well.
Walker. Yes.
Yes. So can you please speak to how Corey Close, over the 15 years that we've spoken about, has built her program up to this level, and to be able to finally supplant her name and legacy with this national championship?
Listen, it's her foundation. It's who she is, and always learning from others, and always giving credit to other people too. She's so gracious and humble as far as thanking the media all the time in all her press conferences, because it's still important for our game to have the media cover us and talk about the players and the teams and how wonderful these women are and how talented they are. And so Corey's, it's you look at how talented this whole season was when you talk about not only UCLA, but Texas, who beat UCLA. And there's another unfair thing that I'm kind of sidetracking too, that that Booker was Madison Booker was compared to Kevin Durant. I mean, a 30-year league in the WNBA, and women should be being compared to the women. But Booker stands alone on her ability and her talent. But getting back to Corey, I think she's constantly learning. She's done USA basketball, and just working with young players too. She has implemented the pyramid of success and a lot of the teachings of Coach Wooden and so many other coaches, and just the respect factor that she has for the game, and she wants to get better. She's not afraid to say, hey, have the players say, hey, maybe we can do this, or let's try this, and we don't like the way you're doing this, and she's willing to learn. She's got a great coaching staff behind her too that supports her, but I just think that she knows the personalities, and that's the one thing that whether it's Corey, whether it's Dawn, whether it's Neil Ivy, so many other great coaches in our league that really understand their players. And she says, not just the skill of basketball and what these young women are going to be off the court and after they're done playing basketball, and how they contribute to the community. And that's really important to Corey, and the players understand that. They know how much she cares about them. They don't care how much she knows, just that she cares about them.
Thank you.
All right, AM Pfeffer, you are up next, my friend.
Drysdale, this is incredible. Thank you so much for coming on, and congratulations to you and the UCLA Lady Bruins for winning that title. That is awesome. My question brings us back to the love it. My question brings us back to the WNBA because obviously 2 new teams coming in this year with just in a few years the expectation of Cleveland, Detroit, Philadelphia on the docket, and obviously over the next 11 years, a tremendous amount of money coming in from the media rights, which is awesome, set for the next decade. And I'd like to hear from you because you're so intricate with the Phoenix Mercury. What do you want to see in terms of expansion, right? I'm curious, like over the next 10 years, and I'm trying to pair these two with all the money coming in and so much set up for the next decade. Where would you like to see the league go in terms of how many teams you'd like to see and why? What's that going to do for the league if it tops out at 20, 24 teams?
Well, we go back to 1978 when we won the national title, and it was the first year that we had a women's pro league, the WBL. And so I did not go into the WBL the first year, but we were all excited to have a league. And I believe there were 12 teams at that time in the WBL, and I was drafted by the Houston Angels. And but I didn't go because I wanted to stay amateur for the 1980 Olympics. I'd come back from Russia and from the Spartacade games and got a call from the Indiana Pacers. So I weighed the Olympics, which I had been in '76, and got my degree at UCLA. And it was an opportunity of a lifetime that most men don't get. My whole life I'd been playing basketball, but I was being invited to compete and try out at training camp with the Indiana Pacers. So I made that decision to do that. And then it didn't work out the way I had hoped it to, but it opened up so many doors for me. But went into the WBL, and so it was a 7-8 month league, and the average salaries were between $7,000 and $15,000. And so obviously now the WNBA comes along, and after the '96 Olympic team in '97, and David Stern says, "Okay, we've got 8 teams, and Val Ackerman is the head of the WNBA." And so 8 teams. Because being involved with the WBL and the other leagues that happen in the ABL and so forth, which are so important to be a part of where the WNBA is today. And I really felt, because being a part of those leagues, that 8 teams was great. Let's stay at 8 teams. But we ended up growing to 10 teams, to 12 teams, to 16 teams, almost too quickly, because it was the media was like, well, it's a fledgling league. The media was always downplaying the WNBA, and a team would fold and move and so forth. Well, that happens in the NFL. That happens in baseball. We've seen teams, and we talked about it in basketball. Seattle left, and how is New Orleans doing? How is, other teams? They talked about Portland at one time. They were the Trailblazers, the Jailblazers. It just like, so it happens in all professional leagues that teams leave their city and so forth. So, but when it was a women's league, they were really downplaying it, and that this league's not going to make it. Well, here we are 30 years later, and hopefully going to be around another 45, 50 years. But in saying that, this is a league that is now at 13 teams. Do we keep growing? Well, obviously, it's a great investment in women's sports, because we see owners that are looking to buy more women's teams in the WNBA, or even in hockey now because of what happened in the Olympics. And so we're seeing more and more women's sports kind of grow, and even in the soccer. But the WNBA, how big will it get? You've got to go into cities, too, that it's going to support it media-wise. I think the fan base, I know when they did have the Portland Fire, people loved it in Portland. And I think Toronto's going to do terrific, too. So, does it go to Iowa? I know Boston, when they had a game last year, they moved it from Connecticut, played the Indiana team with the Fever, with the Caitlin there. They had over 20,000. They're talking about moving it back to Houston. And so I know here in Phoenix, with Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner, we were having sellouts. We were doing so well, and certainly now we've made a transition. We were in the finals. Look at what Las Vegas has done, and with Asia Wilson and so forth, and so even in the Golden State up there with the Valkyries, going to those games, the Valkyrie games, they are packed. The fans love them. So you've got to get in the right community. You have to have the right marketing. Hopefully the media is supportive. And I still think that the national media needs to do a better job in covering the women. And the hard part is having the women's Final Four the same time the men's is. And so, yes, we've got the finals tonight for the men, but, the women just won. And what are we going to see tomorrow? it's all going to be about the men. They're going to have the replays and different interviews and so, which is great, but not as much as the women, because now they're talking about the men still. And so it's always been tough to correlate and coordinate how they can work that and get more media attention. But, the attendance was fabulous. I think that a lot of fans here in Phoenix were excited, and certainly being a part of the Mercury, and the Suns are hosting the NBA All-Star game next year. There's so many positive things happening in this city, but I think that how big do they get? That's a great question. Is it 20 teams? Is it, eventually? But you've got to have that support system. And as much as the women's game is growing and women's sports is growing, we've got to have the support by you guys in being very positive.
Well, yeah, we love the dub over here. We love women's basketball over here. We started our show with it. We talk about it a lot. And you're right. These ladies do deserve more shine, more attention. And so to that end, Annie Meyers Drysdale, we talked a lot about this, the CBA negotiations, right? And based on what Kathy Engelbert was saying, I was like, boy, I don't know how this is going to go. I mean, it just didn't seem like it was going to go the players' way. And then we find out the terms. Bam, to me, that was a huge win for the players. So you is one of the early pioneers of women's basketball and, frankly, women's sports. Like, how happy were you? Were you happy? Did you think they could have gotten more? Did you think the deal was sufficient for the players?
I think at one point I wasn't sure if they were all meeting personally, because when I was the general manager for the Mercury, our players wanted so much, and a lot of them were playing overseas. And I said, look, if you want to accomplish something, I'll show you the books. I'll show you the books and what is going out and what you guys are bringing in. But if you guys want to accomplish something in your CBA, you all have to be together, whether you're in Dallas or Chicago. You can't just, at that time, Skype, from wherever you are in the world. And that doesn't get it done. And I don't know how much the WNBA players and the WNBA were in an office together. But I remember when NBA was, or Major League Baseball, you had players going into the office with their attorneys. They were going into the buildings and meeting face to face. And I think that that's really important, and you can communicate. But, so proud of the players. I'm so excited for them to have this opportunity and how they stuck to it, because I thought, well, are they asking for too much? Sometimes you got to sacrifice a little bit to get what you want, but they didn't back down. And I think that that's really important. And I go back to the COVID days, and to me, these women have a voice. And because of the WNBA, because of women in sports, they have a strong voice. And I go back to COVID, that they changed the vote. They changed the vote in Georgia during Black Lives Matters. And I thought, man, I'm so proud to be a part of this and to watch these young women stand up for what was right. And I think the same thing now as far as, the CBA and what they've been able to accomplish. And it's not going to be the last time. We're going to have it again, just as it is in men's sports. They're always negotiating. And so I know Major League Baseball, didn't they have the commissioner go into one of the locker rooms, and one of the players said, get out of here. We're not going to negotiate with you, and wanted to change certain things. But so it's going to be, I think, an exciting season because these women have really spoken up and stood their ground.
That's amazing. I mean, the minimum salary up from like 66 grand to 300 grand. That's 5 times.
I think I might come out of retirement. I'll sit the bench. I'll sit the bench.
We know you could. We know you could. Annie Meyers Drysdale, the goats never stop getting buckets, man. They never. So I got one more for you here, Annie. Because like you talked about the Phoenix Mercury and big WNBA guy, like Kalia Copper was hurt and Natasha Mack was hurt, and I think you had another injury, like heading out. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so, but you just navigated it all and made the final. Just an unbelievable story. So the Phoenix Suns, like, I don't want to make it like a direct parallel, but they've dealt with health issues. Brooks's injury, Jalen Green, like the first half of the season was like, it was crazy with the recurring hammy and all that kind of stuff. Jordan Ott, first-year head coach. The Suns have stayed afloat all year. They've been pretty much in that 7 hole, kind of knocking a little bit to get up. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but they've been basically 7 and a solid 7, 8, 9, 10 games over 500 basically all year. Very impressive. And to a lot of us, Look, Annie, I thought Phoenix was going to be a good team, right? Like around 500, play-in tournament team. So what I'm seeing has exceeded my expectations. Talk about the season that the Suns are having. You, of course, are a VP for the Phoenix Suns. And what are you seeing, and where's this team going as we approach the play-in tournament and the playoffs?
Well, you look at when the Suns were in the finals against Milwaukee, and we had Chris Paul and Devin, and both Devin and Chris got hurt, and they were even in that game 7. I mean, they got hurt, and we were leading at halftime. But you just never know what's going to happen with injuries, and so this year the hype with Jalen Green and what even now they've only played the 3 of them together 20 plus games, if that. And then certainly, with Brooks coming in, Dylan is just, you hate to play against him, but you love him on your team. And but nobody works as hard as Dylan. He's come in and been real positive. I think the big thing too is I think because there's so many good players in this league, and where we are at the number 7 spot, that Devin Booker is just a phenomenal player. Just not with his skill and what he does on both ends of the floor. People don't give him enough credit for his defense, but I think that being on the Olympic team and Steve Kerr and then coaches talked about his sacrifice, and even in the All-Star game, who got MVP? Ant-Man. And Devin Booker was standing behind and just out of the picture kind of thing. And he's willing to sacrifice his game in order to win. I think he's a player that's had 8, 9 coaches in his 11 seasons. And he's been able to adjust to not only the different coaches, but also the different players that he's played with. Just a quality person off the floor. But he really accepted all the new players coming in, made it a point to embrace them coming in. And Mark Williams, he was injured and missed so many games. He had his first game, I think, last night against Chicago, and a big win for the Suns, no question. But it has given other players the opportunity to play. Colin Gillespie, nobody expected what he was doing. Gray, Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen is so tough. He can play so many different positions. Unbelievable 3-point shooter, but he's so physical. He's so tough, and certainly just so many good team players on this team. And I expect us to win in that first round in that playoff game.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Well, so do I. Annie. All right, Annie. So we super appreciate your time. And Annie, we go way back, and I really, really, really appreciate our friendship. I'm grateful for it. And you making time on short notice today just means a lot to all of us here. I'd like to give you this opportunity before you go to promote anything, a book, an appearance, something going on, something with one of your teams, but just anything you'd like to promote here.
Well, my book, You Let Some Girl Beat You, has been out there for a while. But certainly the UCLA, I'm so proud of Corey Close and what she's accomplished this year with her team. You can just go down that list of every player on that team, and just so proud. And, again, the media, it's the NCAA, but 4 letters, AIW, NCAA, should not change what the program has accomplished. So the 1978 team started things, but this is their victory, and so happy for them. And UCLA is I will always be a Bruin, but so excited for the WNBA season and the Mercury season to get going. And go Suns.
Well, Annie, and go Suns. Well, Annie, thank you so much. We will be in touch. God bless you and your family, okay?
Thanks, everybody. Belated.
Thank you.
Annie Meyers Drysdale, ladies and gentlemen.
Awesome.
I love having goats up in here. Do you guys like having goats up in here? I like it.
100%. 100%.
Oh,
thank you.
That is fantastic. So check it out. Think about Annie Meyers Drysdale. She's first scholarship at UCLA, right? First woman inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame. All this stuff. So back from the 70s, guys, it's 2026. She is still a decision maker and shot caller in women's basketball and men's basketball with the Suns. Like that's incredible. That's like 60 years of hoops or something like that. Basically all contiguous with no breaks. I mean, what a career, what a body of work, man. It's insane.
She gets to make decisions. She gets to be an analyst for the Phoenix Suns and the Mercury. That's the type of job I'd like to do. To be able to have a part in making decisions with an organization, then to be able to travel and broadcast games. That is basically my life post career in a nutshell. I would definitely do that. It's a huge responsibility. She's been great at it, but most importantly, I just think again she needs to be acknowledged as one of the ambassadors and pioneers. To your point, Rick, not only for women's basketball but women's sports in general. She's been that important, that paramount in the growth of women's sports over the past 6-7 decades, for sure.
But hey, let's
So
talk about her saying that they're gonna beat, they're gonna win the
with the
first
first
round. I
round,
think
yeah,
she's talking about the Spurs
playing.
and the Suns.
No, the playing.
No, she wasn't talking about the playing. She was talking about the
I think she's
first
talking about
round,
the
cuz.
playing.
No,
I
she was talking about the
yeah,
first round.
I think she was fast tracking past the PIT. I think that's a foregone
Yeah.
conclusion for her. I'm with
Yeah.
Doc. I think she was saying they're about to shock the world. That's what
San
I heard.
Antonio Spurs. Because
Heard it
Mark
here first
Williams.
on Beyond the Surface.
Yeah. Mark
How about
Williams,
he calls
Dylan
that?
Brooks, Devin Booker,
Jalen Green,
Jalen Green. And so
yeah,
all those others for the
Colin
Spurs.
Gillespie,
Yeah, Colin Gillespie. What's his name?
Grayson Allen.
The other guy. Yeah, Grayson Allen
Grayson Allen.
and others. And so their others are experienced, more hard-nosed, and are better talent. Like outside of Castle, the other guys are either equal or not as good or as
Wait, Doc,
experienced. And
are
so
we hearing from you that you agree that you feel like this is about
I
to happen? The
agree.
Suns are about to. Yeah,
I agree because
There it is.
we ultimately haven't seen them together, and that's the problem. It's like we've been waiting to see Jalen. I think Jalen Green played like 5 games leading up to All-Star break, so we just kind of ignored them. And then when he finally came back, he got hurt again. Then Dylan Brooks was out, but I think Dylan Brooks can turn it on, man. He could flip that switch and make other people better and play hard nosed in a playoff series. So I think she might be right. I
Spurs
think
have
she's
been
talking about
too
the Spurs.
Spurs have been
Stakes is
too
playing.
consistent because I can't. They've been too consistent this whole season.
Mm-mm.
You know what? Anything is possible. You've heard me talk about the parity in this league this season, so anything is possible. And
I
yes,
mean, we've seen it.
experience will play a factor, but man, I don't
I mean,
know, man.
think about the Nuggets with Dikembe Mutombo and the Seattle Supersonics. That series right there. I don't think they were, favored to win. I know it was a 5-game series. I know they didn't have the most experience in the world, and they pulled it out. I just feel like they got the bigs. Like, do you remember how many bigs that the Suns got
Yeah,
in the offseason?
yeah.
So Mark Williams, who's after him? Who else did they get? I mean, I know they got
They
rid
have
of
they
Nick
have
Richards.
They have
There's
Maluach and they have
Maluach.
Igo. What's his name? Oso Ighodaro. I think
Yes,
Oso Ighodaro.
they're
They're
athletic.
gonna be throwing
Listen,
bodies. They're gonna be throwing bodies
100%.
at them.
They're athletic enough, but at the end of the day, they don't have Victor Wembanyama. That's who I'm believing in.
Yeah, but
Ultimately,
Hey,
he's
Rick, I'm going to harken back
45-10.
500 Club, the Phoenix Suns, part of the 500 Club. Very interesting, right? Take you back 4.5 months ago, right?
I
Like,
remember.
This team is
Yeah.
this is an interesting team, and Doc's on the way. I mean, Doc, I'm with you, man. I hope
It's
it
about
happens.
oh,
Like,
matchups. It's about matchups. That's the only reason why I'm saying it. I don't think they're favored to
ain't
win.
nobody
Like,
matching
obviously, I
with
think
Victor
the
Wembanyama.
Spurs.
Who's
No,
gonna
I
make
know,
a
but
matchup
that's
with
it.
Wembanyama?
That's it. I mean, there's a
That's
lot of
it.
great players that no one can match up, but their team doesn't win. That's my point. I'm just saying, like, ultimately, a lot of people don't match up well with a lot of great players, but the team,
you heard
it's a
it.
team game.
You heard her say that she held her best opponent to 40, right? But it didn't matter. They still
Good.
won the game. Let
Good
Victor have
point.
his 40, right?
That is fair.
Yeah.
That is fair.
All right, fellas. So let's bring in Mitch Lawrence and Dwight. I haven't forgotten you with the Geno Auriemma thing. When we get done with
Yeah.
Mitch, I'm gonna come to you on that. I have not forgotten. But
Hey,
let's welcome in.
I might
Yeah, what's up, Doc?
go ahead. I might have to
No,
leave. soon. So I definitely want to get my take for UConn in about Michigan when you have a chance.
I
But
tell you
anyway,
what,
we'll talk about that.
let's get your let's do that right now. Let's get your, because we obviously have that in the rundown here, and the rest of us will get to it later. Yeah, let's get your UConn Michigan prediction, and then we'll bring Mitch on. Go ahead, Doc.
Okay, great. So I would say, honestly speaking, yes, we know UConn's the underdog, right? We know all the stats. They got the bigs, they got the shooting, they got the guard play. But the times that Michigan has lost this year, other teams mucked it up. They had like about 60 points. And when it's a 60, if they score in the 60s or 70s, they could potentially lose. That's UConn's game. UConn doesn't have the best defense in the league, but they're ranked like I think eighth in defense, and I think they can prevent the perimeter scoring. I know they do have an injury to Solo Ball, but that said, I think we have enough grit and grind to at least mitigate their 3-point shooting in this matchup. And I hate to call out injuries and stuff like that, but with Yaxel Lundenborg actually having an injury where he may not be at his peak of his powers, that could also play a factor as well. So I think Michigan is favored to win, but I will not be shocked if UConn wins this. And it's an ugly game. And I think Alex Caravan is going to have a big game. I think that's my X factor right there.
Doc, Alex Caravan is so freaking due. I believe in the principle of due. This cat is super due. Hurley said that about Braylon Mullins when he made that insane shot. He said, well, he was due because Mullins had not been shooting the ball well. So I'm kind of feeling you on Caravan right there. And just so you guys know, before we bring on Mitch, Yaxel Lindenborg and Solo Ball are not on the player availability report, which tells me they're going to play. I mean, they're not
still
even
hobbled,
on the,
though. Still
well,
hobbled.
I'm not saying they're 100%, but Solo Ball was in a boot yesterday and didn't practice, so it looks like at least they're going to be out there and trying to give the teams what they can. Let's bring on the legendary Mitch Lawrence right now, one of the great sports writers in American history. Mitch, it's your boys on Beyond the Surface. How you doing, man?
Well, it's a crazy day in the NBA today because you see what's happening in North Carolina. You see what's happening with the Chicago Bulls. Lots going on. Can't wait for tonight. I can't wait to see if Yaxel Lindenborg, the pride of Pensacola, New Jersey, is going to be dragging his leg around or if he's going to be effective. He's the best player on their team. If he were totally healthy, I'd pick Michigan probably to win as easily as they've been winning in this tournament. But if he's not, if he's compromised, and it looks like he's going to be from what just happened the other night, to me, it's much more of a toss-up, and I give UConn a good chance.
All right, Mitch, so I want to, let's get a prediction from you. Who you got, UConn or Michigan? And then give us a takeaway from the Women's National Championship, because I know you follow the women's game as well. Of course, UCLA clobbering South Carolina. Yeah. Did you think the Geno thing was any kind of distraction for them, or do you just want to give full credit to UCLA? So talk to me about both those things.
Well, the first thing was the Geno thing, and I saw it live. And I was yelling. My wife was sitting there, and she's behind me. I don't know if she was stitching, she's into needlework, or watching. I go, look at this, look at this, look at this. Would you look at this? Total, I mean, it was mind-boggling to see that play out like it did. That was rough from the standpoint of he just lost it. He got his butt kicked. He and his team got his butt kicked. It showed me a person who just can't take a loss with any sense of humility and class. And, when you're 38-0 and you go down in flames like that to a team that's clearly better than you, and maybe the program has passed Connecticut. I don't know enough about women's hoops to say that, but in a way it didn't kind of surprise me because he's been ruling the roost at UConn for a long time. Probably I don't know if he's getting away with murder, but there he was totally out of line, which we know. The next day or whenever it was with this crazy apology where he doesn't even mention Dawn Staley, there's one person he needs to apologize to. He doesn't need to apologize to the staff. He doesn't need to apologize to the state of South Carolina. He doesn't need to apologize to the memory of Strom Thurmond. He needs to apologize to Dawn Staley and let it go with that. A heartfelt apology, not some thing where you just read it and go, you know what? He had somebody write it. This isn't Geno. So it was just a bad look all the way around, but really starting with him. And she exploded at him, and I didn't mind that because he just he acted like an asshole. Now, in terms of the game yesterday, I don't know if it affected them or not. I'm not that caught up in it to see. It was the amazing thing to me is this is UCLA's first national title.
Right.
That just tells you lots about where that program was under Annie Meyers and, all throughout the years. But that's the women. Tonight, I'll still pick Michigan. They've been on such a great run, a historic run. I'm sure you guys know this, but it's worth repeating. The beatdown of Arizona was the greatest margin of victory by a 1 seed over a 1 seed since they went to seeding in 1979. I mean,
Wow.
I watched the game.
Wow.
It was brutal. And by the way, I'm a TCU fan, season tickets here in Fort Worth. Had the honor, the pleasure of seeing Michigan live at Schollmeyer Arena here in Fort Worth. They only won by 4 or 6. And then I saw Arizona in a game where I turned the corner out of the tunnel to walk up to my seats. The whole sections are in red. All UA fans. I said to these guys, where am I, in the McHale Center? So, where Arizona plays. So, I watched both teams. And actually, I went into the tournament thinking Arizona's the team to beat. I thought Michigan would be in second. I thought they would meet in the semis. I had the other bracket I had totally wrong. I think I had Michigan State and Houston. But anyway, to make a long story short, the way Michigan's been playing, going into the game the other night, Rick, even though I told you I was thinking Arizona's going to win, I step back and I said, they're clearly a dominant team. If there's one team that can blow out another, it's not Arizona blowing out Michigan. It's going to be the other way around. And we saw that even with Yaxel Lunderberg playing 15 minutes. Name me another team where their top player, one of the top players in the sport, plays 15 minutes, and they not only live to see the next game, they blow the other team out. Amazing job by Dusty May and his staff. Amazing job by the players. I was very disappointed in the Arizona backcourt. I know Burris is a freshman, but Jaden Bradley, gentlemen, was the Big 12 player of the year, and he got torched. That was embarrassing. And I'm telling you, NBA scouts probably looked at that and said, DeBancy was probably better anyway, or somebody off that.
Agreed.
But hey, that happens. That happens in these games. So I hope tonight, it's a competitive game. But if it's a competitive game, it may be because Lunderberg is compromised. I don't know about the other guy for UConn, but to me, Lunderberg was amazing when I saw him at TCU because he never played a big. They had him on 6'1" and 6'2" guards the whole night. And I couldn't believe his athleticism as a 6'9" guy staying with those guys. It's a great story. Of course, he didn't start his career at Michigan. He started at UAB, right? So who knows with all the movement going on. So I'm just hoping for a great game tonight because to be honest with you guys, Saturday sucked. Saturday was brutal. Bad game.
I agree.
Quick story. I was at an event, disappointed the person that invited me to that event because I had to leave and watch the Final Four. So I went to my favorite beach bar with my favorite cover band so I could see them and also watch the Final Four. And the games were horrible, but I did have a good time. But the games were just dreadful. All right, Dr. X. And Mitch, you probably know this. Dr. X is a UConn alum, okay? So Dr. X, you got a question for the great Mitch Lawrence.
Yeah. Well, it was really just about the Knicks as well. Where do we played the last games of the season. No, I always like Mitch's takes in the Knicks because I know he was banned by the owner of the Knicks, who will remain nameless in this podcast for now. But anyway, the last 5 games or 4 games are going to be above 500 teams. What do you think the Knicks record is going to be, and does it matter at this point?
I don't know if it matters. Listen, I think we all have the sense that the Knicks are going to be a playoff disappointment because the season's been really one of extremes. Now, the deal in the playoffs. If you're struggling at the end of the regular season, you're not on an upward trajectory. but you get into the first round and you win the first round series, then it's a totally different deal. Then there's a totally different confidence level. There's a totally different way you look at yourself. All it takes is one series win. I don't know, there's a lot of reports that the Knicks players don't like each other. There's all kinds of, this guy doesn't get along with this guy. Hey, I don't know what to say about all that. But I do know they still have Brunson and Towns. They still have a lot of guys who have playoff experience. They've played together. It looks like they have shortcomings at the defensive end. It looks like they have shortcomings when it comes to, if Brunson's not scoring, who's that guy going to be? Bridges, disappointment. And there's a laundry list of reasons why you'd pick against the Knicks. But I'm telling you, they get their act together for one playoff series, then things could turn around. I still think ultimately they'll fall short of their goal because, listen, Boston is a much different team with Jason Tatum. That's obvious. If they didn't have Jason Tatum, you'd say there's a path now for the Knicks or Detroit or maybe Cleveland. Jason Tatum, when he came back and the level he's playing with the kind of games he's had under his belt going into the playoffs, Boston is going to be a very, very tough out, obviously, because what he and Jaylen Brown can do as championship players, guys who have won, and their other guys who have had success. I mean, it's amazing to think the loss of manpower they had off that team with Drew Holiday and Porzingis, but credit to Joe Mazzulla, credit to the players. I think they're the team to beat in the East. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way too. Detroit, Cade Cunningham questions, Cleveland, James Harden, defense questions, Knicks questions. Boston seems to me to be the team that you say, you know what? I can see that team winning a few series to get to another finals. These other teams, you just don't have – I don't have the confidence in really anybody. Forget about the Knicks. I just don't see I don't see those teams being able to win, 2-3 series to advance to a finals.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We'll see.
Oh, I love it. All right, Dwight Walton, mix it up with the great Mitch Lawrence a little bit.
Mitch, I want to take it back to the NCAA championship game tonight. If I can give myself a pat on the back, before the tournament, I had Michigan and UConn in the championship game tonight, with Michigan winning 75-72. So that may happen. But the reason –
wow.
Thank you very much. But the reason why I want to go back to that, the reason I had Michigan winning is because of the amount of respect and admiration I have for the aforementioned Yaxel Lundenberg. I consider him to be the LeBron James of college basketball, which is why I have Michigan winning. Do you think – now, he's not going to be LeBron James in the future, but do you think he has those qualities, those metrics, because he is 6'9", because he is 250 pounds? To your point, you saw him against TCU guarding players that were 6'1" and 6'2", so he will bring that versatility to the NBA. How great, or what is your projection for Yaxel Lundenberg in the NBA?
That's a great question, and I'm sure there are a lot of NBA teams who are going to be drafting after 5, 6, 7, or in that area, who will be looking at him, because you got the great freshmen who everybody thinks are going to go top, right?
Yes.
I just listen. Like I said, I hope we see that great version of him tonight. I just don't think it's possible the way he was dragging his leg. When he came back in the game the other night, my first reaction was, Dusty May, what the hell are you doing? Because you can get worse here. My second reaction is, my God, look at the way he's trying to run on this thing. But anyway, getting your point about the NBA, you know what? I haven't talked to enough people who I trust who really know more about his transition to the NBA than, right now I'm a little behind in that. But he is an intriguing guy, because it looks like he can also, defensively can impact the game, which you love. Offensively, it looks like he can get to the basket. He can shoot threes. I don't know. Now, his age is what? 23, 24? Is he 24? Was he 23? What is he? 23.
It's
It's amazing. and Rick knows this real well too. There are a lot of NBA teams. Once you get to like 22, no, if I'm drafting, I'm going to take an 18-year-old kid or a 19-year-old kid ahead of this guy because, listen, he could develop into something bigger. He might have a bigger ceiling. Age-wise, I'm not going with a guy going to be that old. We'll see how everybody looks at him. But right now on this stage, he looks like a wonderful player. Unfortunately, I think he'll be compromised tonight. I really do. But, hey, team-wise, is it going to set Michigan back? It could. It could give Connecticut that road they need. My thing about Connecticut is can Caravan, I'm just not sold on it. There are points where I look at him and go, he's having a hard time getting his shot against these really good defensive players the deeper you go into the tournament. I don't know how he'll do that. I kind of trust Mullins a little bit more, but we'll see. But Reed is a handful. I'm not saying Reed's going to come in the NBA and be a handful, but on the college level, a guy who did a 31-27 game in the first round against Furman was sensational. By the way, do you guys know who the only player in the history of the tournament to have a 30-30 game was?
Moses Malone.
Did I mention it? No. I don't know if I mentioned this on the show.
Kareem.
One player in the history of the NCAA tournament had a 30-point, 30-rebound game. And I'll give you a hint. It's not a King.
Artis Gilmore.
Kareem.
Artis Gilmore.
Not Artis Gilmore. It's not Will Chamberlain.
Kareem.
Not Bill
Charles
Russell.
Barkley?
Not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's not Bill Walton. This player is the most underrated superstar. College, he didn't have the great – well, when the NBA celebrated its 50-year anniversary, the real 50 greatest players of all time team, he's on there. He made the 75 team. He has a statue at the campus he played on. It was just unveiled, I think, last December. So he's a guy, he's now in his 80s. He's known for his memory. He's known for having a photographic memory.
Pistol Pete Maravich?
Great
Is it Bob Pettit?
shooter.
Is it Bob Pettit?
No.
Pistol Pete's dead.
Jerry Lucas of Ohio State.
Oh, Jerry Lucas.
Jerry Lucas.
Jerry Lucas in the Mideast Regional Finals when he's a junior. They won it all as his sophomore year with John Havlicek and Larry Siegfried, all these guys who played pro ball. Bobby Knight was the sixth man. His junior year, Mideast Regional Final against Kentucky, Freedom Hall, 33 points. I think it was 30 or 31 rebounds. Good. Next time you want to go, you're at a bar, you want to win some drinks. Trivia question. Nobody gets it. Nobody ever gets. Jerry Lucas, 1961 NCAA tournament. And look at all the guys.
That might be tonight. I might be at a bar tonight watching the game and throwing out trivia. So
drop that on people. But Jerry, and nobody ever talks about Jerry Lucas, who when I watched him help the Knicks to the 73 title, he's shooting 3-point shots outside. He had that kind of range. A wonderful offensive player. I think Havlicek said he's, because I think he was biased, but I think John Havlicek said he was the greatest player ever played with or played, whatever, when they were college teammates. So that's a name from the past. But Reed against Furman had a 31-27. Of course, nobody mentioned Jerry Lucas the next day in their writings about it because people, if you didn't get on ESPN, it didn't exist. This happened way before ESPN. And by the way, did I see now people are dredging up Wilt's blocks from his last year?
I keep seeing this. Yes.
Sonny Hill told me, and Sonny Hill is a Philadelphia legend like Wilt Chamberlain. I think, Rick, you probably know Sonny Hill. He used to be on TV. He knows everything about Philly basketball.
I know him as well. Yeah.
And he told me that when Wilt started out in the NBA, he was easily averaging 10-plus blocks a game.
What? Oh my gosh. I'm not incredulous to that. I'm just staggered by it. Like
easily.
I'm never going to doubt Wilt Chamberlain. I can tell you that right now.
If they were keeping official block, if blocks were an official stat when Wilt Chamberlain started and played, because he retired, then blocks became official 71, 72 in there.
Yeah.
Forget about the triple-double record of Russell Westbrook or whoever owns it now. Wilt would have 1,000 triple doubles. Because
Holy cow!
Honestly, that's a more.
rebounds, and blocks.
If you're saying it's 10 plus, that's a more incredible stat than 20,000 plus for Will Chamberlain. I'm just that's how
I'll
it's
tell you.
10 plus.
Agreed.
Let me tell you about that. Let me tell you about when I sent to Sunny Hill. What's the deal with Wilt and the 20,000? He looked at me and he said, Mitch, he said, here's the amazing thing. I said, what? He goes, does he have any kids? I go, I haven't heard of any. He goes,
That's a good thing.
Doesn't have any kids. You mean to tell me with 20,000 women needed? That to me is the greatest comeback for the 20,000. And Sunny Hill,
like
Will,
how, right?
Like
how? How is there not like one mistake? That is incredible. That is.
He had a vasectomy.
You know what, Mitch?
Yeah, he might have the snip.
Mitch, to get back to tonight's game.
Oh my gosh.
Listen, the Yaxel Lundenborg injury is going to be a major factor. Solo ball for UConn as well. But I will say this. Danny Hurley has been watching and listening to every sports show that he can today, because I think it's overwhelming that everybody thinks that Michigan is going to win tonight. And Danny Hurley plays the underdog card masterfully. And if they do go on to win tonight, you can best believe that'll be the first thing he mentions in his post-game press conference. So, listen, we understand that Danny Hurley is not playing in this game. But if there's one thing he does accomplish, his players will go through the wall to play and win for him. This may not be UConn's most talented team, but he will bring it. He will have those guys ready to play, especially in the underdog role.
You mentioned he'll bring it up to the press conference. I didn't know. I wasn't paying attention to this. I didn't have a bet on the semis, but apparently Illinois was favored against UConn.
I think a point and a half, something like that. They were a slight favorite. Yeah.
He said at the press conference, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, he says, we beat them by, I think it was like 11 or 12 points in the season. How are they the favorite and we're the underdog? So he does pay attention. And by the way, any coach worth his salt doesn't take this being an underdog as a slight. He uses it to his advantage. That's the way they all. They don't want to be the favorite. They want to have their players of the mindset of they're disrespecting us. It's us against the world. Nobody thinks we can win. So when we shock the world, which is the biggest, quote everybody uses, then it'll go down as you guys are going to make history. So I'm sure he's loving the position he is. I'm sure he doesn't love the fact that Ball could be compromised. We'll see how much he's limited. And he also loves the fact, secretly, that Landenberg may not be 100%, because you need something like that. Because the way Michigan is playing against really good teams in this tournament, it's like a joke the way they've manhandled everybody. And I mean, Arizona, you saw what Tommy Lloyd said. Nobody has done to us what Michigan just did when he said, right after the game, he's like, we couldn't do the things that we usually do. I mean, Arizona's a hell of a team, but they were not Saturday. They weren't close. Anyway, but what about the Michael? You guys aren't talking Michael Malone.
Oh, we're getting there.
You're not talking the Bulls blowing up their front office.
That's where I wanted to go with this.
Go ahead, Ayo. Go on.
Top of the show. On. Like this, look, and Doc's gonna love this. My second.
Your Bulls, Ayo. These are your Bulls. He always talks about the Bulls, Mitch. Always.
Finally, Carter Somas and Eversley are out. I mean, these clowns have overseen the last 6 years of the Vucevic bringing in the Pat Williams $90 million 5-year extension, but at the same time, they also made an amazing Giddey trade. They drafted Matas Bucelis. I'm so confused by what the Bulls are doing. They brought in Jaden Ivey. And Kobe White. Hey, we can't get anything back for Kobe White. Let's just turn him into the now should be 6th man of the year in Charlotte. What the hell has been going on with the Bulls, and what do they do now?
Well, it's been a disaster, like you say,
Yeah.
and they needed to make this move. A lot of people, a lot of Chicago people, all you have to do is read the comments from fans on the social media lines who are killing the Reinsdorfs because, they just think the Reinsdorfs about making money and filling the arena, not fielding a good team. They always want to be a playing team. They want to spend the money. All I know is this. Here's hope for the Bulls. Whoever gets the job to run the Bulls has a $65 million $65 million in cap money, which is a league high, right? And you're going to have a lot
Rick, how many times have I said only Giddey is on the books? Besides Pat Williams and his terrible contract, but it's not killer contract. Giddey is $25 million a year with no escalation for 4 years. He just went through the first year. Other than that, nobody's getting paid, and Buzelis hasn't even gotten his taste yet. There is so much money in that war chest for the Bulls, and now Portland is going to be in the play-in tournament. Well, we'll see if they get kicked out, but I think that they own their pick at least for the next 3 years. They might revert to them as well. They got moves to make.
They have the ability to make some good moves. We'll see where they finish in the lottery, how they do there. Who knows? Maybe they can get lucky and get a top pick because that would obviously help them significantly. Who knows who wants their money? People, how they spend their money. The big question is, and also now, does Billy Donovan stay on? Or has there been a power struggle where he has won? I don't know the lay of the land out there in terms of that.
He was who I thought would be down in North Carolina, not Mike Malone. I really thought Donovan was going down there.
I'll tell you what, a lot of people thought that Carolina was going to bring in Billy Donovan. He's one of only 7 or 8 coaches in the history of college basketball to have back-to-back champions. So, he's got a proven record of Florida.
Interesting on the same day, his front office just got let go. Mike Malone gets hired.
Right.
Right? Could have been waited a day, and it could have been Donovan's news.
The great thing about Florida is they had guys who went into the NBA like Al Horford. So he did an outstanding job at Florida. He almost he did take the Orlando job years ago, and then he backed out. Right? Finally went to Oklahoma City, did a very good job there. Although they had that ultimate collapse, the 3-1 lead against the Warriors back in the day, where they collapsed there, but I'm going to lay that still on Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. But anyway, he was there. I don't know his future, whether he'll be retained or he's just coaching out the string here. But and now getting to Mike Malone, there have to be several NBA teams, starting with the Orlando Magic, who right now should be kicking themselves that they did not pounce on Mike Malone. I got nothing against Jamal Mosley at Orlando, but they need a better coach. They need someone who's won. They need someone to take them to the next level with the players they had. And to me, start with Mike Malone. Hell, the Knicks should have hired Mike Malone. The Knicks should have hired Mike. They didn't even talk to him.
They should have never fired Tom Thibodeau.
I'm sorry.
They should have never fired Tibbs.
Well, starting there. And I know everybody said, well, they're the light. Yeah, Mike Malone is an old school guy. For today's younger players, if you don't want to be, he's too abrasive, he gets in your grill. Yeah, that used to be coaching, and that was accepted. and as Larry Brown always pointed out, it's not personal, it's coaching. When you ride a player, when you get on a guy, a lot of players who come up through AAU and all they do is to get their asses kissed, they can't understand that type of coaching. But Michael Malone, Carolina, I'm telling you what, I'll tell you this right now. When a coach is hired, to me, the ultimate comments come from the rivals. The ultimate reaction comes from the rivals. Do you think John Shire's happy that Mike Malone got hired in North Carolina?
Not at all.
Right?
Because North Carolina is no longer a layup for them.
I'll guarantee you there are multiple coaches in the ACC who right now are going, oh boy. Well, you know what? They actually upgraded from Hubert Davis. We got our work cut out for them. They're back in play. Carolina's back in play. That's the way I always look at hires. Who's the most nervous? Or do teams go, great, he got the job. We got no worries. Right?
So going back to Orlando, this is what my question was going to be. How hot is Jamal Mosley's seat? And was there a possibility of having what happened to Taylor Jenkins being fired with 9 games last season and Michael Malone with 3 games left last season? Was there, because after that 50-point blowout to the Toronto Raptors, and then they lost by 30 plus to a team the following Sunday, how hot was his seat? And was there a possibility of him being fired the next day?
In my mind, it wasn't hot enough.
Right.
I mean, listen, you're collapsing at the wrong time of the year. He apparently has had problems with Banchero. I don't know if that's, legit, you hear all kinds of stuff. But I think that after this season, no matter how it finishes for them, there'll probably be a coaching change. I would assume that. I think this is a team that has a lot of top young talent. Now, Banchero could be a little overrated. He's not the great, offensively, it's got to be about him. He doesn't move the ball. He kind of stops it. We all know his game, but they've got a lot of talent. I think ownership there, front office guys know it's probably time to make a move and move on. And what you want to do is you want to bring in someone who's better than what you have, and who better than a guy like Michael Malone. And I think Brendan at one point, his late father, was an assistant down there. I could be wrong, but he might have been. But anyway, even if he doesn't have a connection, that, to me, that was a slam dunk. But there are other teams in the NBA that could have used Mike Malone too, because, listen, he's got a championship. He's got a ring. So that means a lot. But Carolina, fascinating hire. Great. I think it's a great hire. I think it's better than Belichick if you're going to dip into the pros. I think a lot bigger impact as a basketball coach than Belichick's going to have. So we'll see how things, but his name's off the board in the NBA, and that to me is a loss for a few teams.
Well, I mean, I just super quick. I hate how the NBA did Michael Malone. Michael Malone should not be in a suit on ESPN. It's a joke. Denver should have never fired him. I don't like that he's going to college basketball. I mean, I'm more of an NBA guy. I've worked with him at NBA TV. I like Michael Malone. I can't say we were boys or anything, but he was super fun to work with. I think he's a great mind. He's a culture builder. What the hell did Denver ever do or win before Michael Malone? Nothing. Okay? So to me, that was dumbassery by the Kroenke family last year. And, the Jamal Mosley thing, I blame this on Banchero. Once the star player flips on your head coach, it's a wrap. Okay, right or wrong, fair, unfair, none of that even matters. If Donovan Mitchell flipped on JB Bickerstaff, right? Yes. Okay, that's why Cleveland fired JB Bickerstaff. And Detroit was like, thank you, he's ours now. And now we see that he's dominating Cleveland. And it was, but Donovan Mitchell clashed with JB. It doesn't matter. We can squabble all we want. If the star player turns on the coach is going to get fired. So I think it's a foregone conclusion. And I really like Jamal Mosley. I'm not like pounding a drum for this, but if he doesn't get fired, I will be very, very, very surprised. And I do think Michael Malone's going to turn the Tar Heels around, but it's like Michael Malone's been an NBA coach for what, decades? Whether it's an assistant, a head coach, and now to go to it just feels weird to me. Oh, one more thing. I do think that the Bulls announcement today and Michael Malone getting this job, I think they're connected. All right. There was a report that Billy Donovan wanted Karnisovas out and that he might stay if they bounced him. So I think there was a power struggle. And let's be honest here. Billy Donovan is one of the smartest basketball minds ever, okay? He's a Hall of Famer. The guy's won everywhere. Everybody loves Billy Donovan. If you guys have ever, Mitch, I know you have. I've interviewed Billy Donovan. He looks you right in the eye with these piercing eyes. He's just like he's a beast, man. He's got aura to him. He's got resume. He's a freaking beast, okay? And I know the Reinsdorf family loves Billy Donovan. That's why they haven't whacked him yet. That's why they always give him extensions. Okay. I think the Reinsdorf family wants Billy Donovan to stay. You blow up the front office. Now Billy's going to have more say. Hell, he's probably going to help the owner find a new GM. I could be wrong, and Billy Donovan could go elsewhere, but I think the Karnisovas is out. I think Billy Donovan stays. So, Dwight, I just wanted to get sort of my 2 cents in on that. Go ahead, my friend.
No. So to both to Rick, to Mitch, and to the rest of the panel, could this be I agree with you that the Malone to Carolina and the Billy Donovan situation are connected. Do you feel there's a possibility that this could be a Boston Celtics type of situation to where Billy Donovan, because of the great mind he has, moves to the front office and they hire a coach so they have that tandem going forward? It's obviously worked in Boston. Could that be the deal in Chicago?
That is a fascinating parallel.
Yes, it is. Yes,
it really is. I don't, the whole question is, does Billy Donovan still like to coach, want to coach? Let's say the Bulls intend to keep him. There's all this wreckage that they're finally getting people out the door, but they like him enough where you want to. It always comes down to, does a guy want to continue to coach, or does he consider, you know what, I'm done now. Maybe I'll try my hand at personnel and do exactly what Brad Stevens does. I can't rule it out because I don't know what Billy Donovan is thinking, but that is an excellent point, and it's worth definitely keeping an eye on. And it's going to be fascinating to see how Billy Donovan approaches what is that ever next in Chicago. I can't see the Reinsdorf demanding that he leave coaching to move upstairs. But if he's had enough of coaching and he says, you know what, I know exactly with $65 million and a top pick in the lottery, how we can turn this thing around, but he won't do both because nobody does both. I think Don Nelson was the last guy to do both. It's impossible to do both. It wasn't that strange back when I broke in the 80s to have a guy do the GM and coaching. But now in this day and age, it hasn't been done for a while. But that is a very good observation, and it's going to be fascinating to see if it plays out that way.
So you think Stan Van Gundy tried to wear both hats. That was a disaster. Doc Rivers tried to wear both hats. That was a disaster. Tom Thibodeau tried to wear both hats. That was a disaster. Coach Bud in Atlanta tried to wear both hats. That was a disaster. Like the NBA, like they rolled the dice on that many, many times, and it crapped out every time. And now those days are done, man. That ain't happening probably in our lifetimes here.
I guess Nelly was the last one who did it well. But you're right. Those guys didn't do it. The only thing they got out of it, was they got a lot more money for two jobs, but it was impossible to do the right thing. Yeah.
Now, I will say this, and I will die on this hill. Mike Dunleavy Jr. is not the GM of the Golden State Warriors. He is not. That's what his title is. Steve Kerr is the GM of the Golden State Warriors. The way he talks, the way they pick, the way Kerr. Anyway, that's just but he doesn't have the title. But everybody's like Mike Dunleavy Jr. with all these decisions, and they make it like it's just him in a vacuum making these decisions, and it drives me crazy. I promise you, again, I will die on this hill. Steve Kerr has a louder voice in their boardroom than Mike Dunleavy Jr. Okay? Give me a freaking break. Mitch Lawrence, we love you, bro. We love you. Your insights, your opinions are absolutely spectacular. Thank you for making the time for us, man. Mitch, it won't be long, dude. We'll be hollering at you soon.
Thank you.
Guys, I enjoyed it. Let's hope for a great game tonight, all right?
Agreed.
Let's go UConn, baby.
Talk you down the there you go.
All right, Mitch.
See you.
Peace, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Rick. Talk to you. Bye-bye.
You got it, Mitch. You got it. That's my guy right there. All right, so Dr. X, I know that the clock is running down on you right now. Doc's got to catch a flight. So Dwight, I'm just going to ask a little more patience with the Geno thing. We got to get a topic in that's super Dr. X specific. It involves injuries, all right? So without further ado, my rundown keeps refreshing on me. Let me go down here to the Lakers stuff, and it is right here. So we know that Luka Dončić and Austin Reeves had these injuries, right? So, and I want to ask the question, but I'm going to give you, Doc, I'm going to give you a little bit of, I know you like the factoids, right? Like I'm going to debrief you here, okay? So the question is, Luka and Reeves back for game one. Will they, and of course I'm talking about the playoff series, whoever they play, okay? So here's the reporting, Doc. Luka Dončić is going to seek specialized medical treatment in Europe on his grade 2 left hamstring in an attempt to expedite his return to play. All right, so that's going on. Austin Reeves underwent a second MRI in his left rib cage after a diagnostic error by Dallas Mavericks medical staff delayed the official injury diagnosis. JJ Redick said, I don't know where the chain of command lies with Dallas Imaging, but they scanned the wrong area. Not on our end. We made it explicit what was supposed to be scanned, but they scanned the wrong area. To which I say, sarcastically, but not so much. JJ, why would you expect the Dallas Mavericks to play fair ball with you after the Luka trade? Why would you just trust them? That makes no sense to me. This was not a mistake. This was a bleep you, okay? It was not a mistake. By the way, the technical staff in Dallas has not issued an official comment regarding the miscommunication or the specific nature of the scanning error. And I'm going to spoil the suspense for all of you. And they never will. They're not going to say a word about this. I will die on that hill too. All right, I'm losing my voice here. And then one more thing, Doc. JJ Redick said about Austin Rivers and Luka Dončić playing in the second half of that massacre against OKC. As a coach, you go on the information you have, as JJ now throws everybody else under the bus. He said Luka was medically cleared. When Austin came back, I asked directly. I thought he was hurt. I was told, no, he's medically cleared. So JJ Redick is like, go talk to them, the medical staff. But Doc, for real, Doc is one of the top sports medicine radiologists really in the world, okay? He works with X-rays, the diagnosis and evaluation of injuries. And so, Doc, first of all, that had to crack you up, the Dallas MRI snafu. And then, do you think Luka and Reeves will be ready for game one?
Yeah, I think ultimately there's so much time. I know everybody's talking about 4 to 6 weeks. They do that as a buffer and for protection. Whether someone says grade 1 or 2 is kind of like up in the air. It really depends on how bad. It's really about the recovery. Everybody's recovery time is different. So unless it was a full thickness rupture, that's a grade 4, by the way. A grade 3 is like a high grade partial thickness tear. Potentially could be a grade 4 and maybe a full thickness rupture. So grade 2 and grade 1, you can kind of fudge it, you know what I mean? And can kind of give people vacation time to Slovenia, which is very weird when they say, oh, we're going to go to Europe. They could have been specific because when Kobe got that injection in his knee, and they said Germany. They were very specific where in Europe. So wherever this place is in Europe, I'm sure they would have been ready to brag about this top end physical therapy, a place for him to recover, where he would have turned down the hospital of special surgery in New York. He would have turned down all these places, UCLA, which is actually sponsoring the Lakers and is throwing their sponsorship under the bus and sending Luka all the way to Europe, which isn't great in terms of when you're trying to recover from a soft tissue injury to have to travel like that.
Right.
So obviously, I
That's the key.
think they're giving him a nice vacation. He just had a baby. Bill Duffy's on record saying that they're going to apply for this extraordinary something clause or whatever it is, circumstance challenge or whatever it's called, and that was because he had to go see his newborn baby in Slovenia, I believe. He had to leave for that. So I think
Yeah,
the
2
same
games.
thing may be, 2 games. So I think the fact that they did so well with the record and they don't have to play in the play-in tournament, that gives them another week. So all that said, I'm not saying he didn't get hurt, but the fact that when he first got hurt, they put him back out there, there had to be some conversation in the locker room. All right, guys, we just got punched in the mouth. Luka, I know you got hurt. That's an injury you've been nursing for a while. let's at least let you leave with a badge of honor, not looking like you punked out and are not back for the second half. You could try to give it a
And look
go.
what happened.
And
And look what
I
happened.
know, I know, and that's my thing. So I don't know whether he's a good actor or not. I'm not saying I think the injury's real. The injury's real. I just don't think it's a grade 3. I don't think it's a real grade 2. And if it is a grade 2, I think he has enough time to recover and come back. Luka's a tough player. He knows how to play with injuries. He played with this same injury 10 days later and was still able to drop 40 and be in the MVP conversation for the rest of the year
Great,
until
great
this
point.
injury happened again. So I really think that it's going to be about 19 days instead of 10 days now. And you get to go see your baby and get the oxytocin levels going and the serotonin and all that and the dopamine levels going with your new baby. He'll be
Ugh.
rested, rejuvenated, and he's going to play in game 1. And so is Austin Reeves because Austin Reeves ain't no punk either.
Ugh.
And I know abdominal injury is
Hillbilly
tough, but
Kobe.
they have,
Hillbilly Kobe, baby.
hey, exactly. There's something called pain medication, and there's something called they have these wraps, and they have heat, and they have all these things that they give a player right before the game as well. And so I think with all that said, there's enough time that they're giving their best players some time to chill, to get right, and they're going to be ready for game 1. I also think this gives them a big excuse to drop in the standings from 3 to 4.
Ugh.
And LeBron is doing his best, and they were able to win against some other teams, but they dropped to
Ugh.
4 because it's so close. They can kind of now manipulate who they play, and still keep home court advantage. And so they could really know, let's keep third, and we can play the second seed in the Spurs in the second round, or we can drop to like fourth, and we could end up playing OKC, which I don't think they want to do, but maybe Houston gets up to 6 and or falls to 6 or wherever they are. And but I do think they're ducking smoke. I don't think they want to see Denver. I don't think they want to see the Timberwolves. So the ball is in their court. They're kind of just managing like a puppet master, and we will
But
see both of those players in game 1.
Hey, super
Period. End of
quick,
story.
just super quick, because Dwight, I'm going to you next, but super quick.
yeah.
Uh, uh, Denver always kills the LA Lakers. They definitely do not want any piece of that. And then just the other thing, Doc, I read a report. He's going to Germany or Switzerland. It's kind of unconfirmed right now where Luka went in Europe, but there's a report that it's either Germany or Switzerland. So for what that's worth. But Dwight, go ahead. Doc gave you his answer. He thinks Luka and Reeves will be ready by game 1. Where are you at with this?
Well, real quick, Rick. If you look
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah.
Germany and Switzerland on the map, it's not even like they're overlap like Lake Como in Italy and Switzerland. So the fact that they don't even know where he's going is pretty much wherever that baby and he and his family want to be for their
Ugh.
week vacation. And I think they'll likely go to Switzerland because it's really nice down there this time of
Well,
year.
no. So if I can continue on that, I am on record. As you guys know, I played professionally in Switzerland for 6 basketball seasons. To this day, they are the very best in terms of medical prognosis and dealing with injuries that I've ever been a part of. So I can
Wow.
vouch. I can vouch for Switzerland. We have a great medical system here in Canada, but again, and I've been through the system in the U.S. as well. I'm on record. I will say it right now. Switzerland is by far the best in terms of medical treatment I've had. So I can vouch for it. And it wouldn't surprise me if Luka is going to go to Switzerland for whatever treatment. Anyways,
And
to
you'll
get to
see
the
him, Dwight,
question.
because you'll be in Switzerland as well.
Well, yes,
You'll see him in
that's a good
Switzerland.
point. Yes. Yes, I will. I'll be there next 2 weeks. Yes. Anyways, but
Nice.
to answer the question, is it possible that Luka Dončić and Austin Reeves can be back for game 1 of the playoffs? Of course, anything is possible. Because of my time with the national team for 10 years, I was privy to some of the strongest anti inflammatory drugs known to man. I have taken many cortisone shots known to man. So I've been through the gamut. People know my injury history: broken jaw, wisdom teeth taken out, elbow surgery, dislocated shoulder, both hips replaced, 5 knee surgeries. So I've been through all of the drugs, the cortisone shots that can be taken. So is it possible that Luka and Austin come back for game one? Of course. They are privy to some of the best treatment known to man. Hell, Luka is going overseas to get his stuff. Now, what's very fishy about what Luka is doing, it could be perceived as something illegal being done, because a torn hamstring in Los Angeles is a torn hamstring in Switzerland, in Germany, in Slovenia. It's the same thing. Just because you cross the water doesn't mean your hamstring is going to heal differently. So we could talk about that maybe at a later date. However, again, they can come back for game one, but they're not going to be close to being healthy. Luka could make one strong move, and that hamstring could tear completely. And then we're talking about a completely other situation to where the star of the Lakers organization could be out for a whole year to 18 months. Hamstrings are not to be played with. I understand the urgency of the moment. The Lakers have had a great March. Now it feels like their season is going to sink and lose in the first round, possibly. But Phil, my cousin, my beloved cousin, the Lakers aren't trying to position themselves to play against OKC in the second round. Are you kidding me? They have a better chance of beating San Antonio than Oklahoma City. Let's just call it as it is. They're not going to beat either team. They're not going to beat either team. They're not going to beat either team. I'm already on record as saying the Lakers possibly could win the first round, but they're not getting past San Antonio, and they're not
Let me
getting
just
past
interject.
Oklahoma
Let me
City.
let me just interject this. Do you remember
Okay.
last year? Do you remember last year when the Lakers beat
Position
OKC and
themselves to
everybody?
play against the
No,
Wolves?
no, no, no,
Yes.
no. Just let's listen. But do
Yes.
you remember last year when OKC was beat by LA and everyone was like, "Yo, did you see?" And you were telling me
I
about all the
agree.
shot creator stuff. They got 3 shot creators:
Yes.
Austin, Luka, LeBron, and you were making the case why they could beat OKC and everybody else that was from the NBA. The
Oh, man.
Twins, everybody was saying, "Oh yeah, they could beat OKC." The OKC team is still the same team from last year. I doubt they did anything much different. The Laker team is slightly better. And so, based off of that possum talk you were talking last month, it could be the Lakers got punched in the mouth or could have been playing possum and don't
Now,
mind seeing OKC in the second round.
so I thought the point you were going to make, they positioned themselves to play against the Wolves last year because they thought they could beat Minnesota. Look what happened. It's the classic case of don't go out of your way and hope to play against the team because it could be disastrous. Yes, Houston may be one of the 3 teams that the Lakers feel more comfortable against, but once the playoffs start, man, Kevin Durant, Amen Thompson, Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith Jr. These guys are legit, man. And I'm not so sure the Lakers really want to face that Houston team, whomever they face in the first round, whether they were healthy or not. It wasn't a foregone conclusion that they were going to beat Denver, Minnesota, nor Houston. And even
Houston
now,
is the weak team. Houston's
yeah,
got to be the weak team. They don't have
no,
a point
they may
guard.
be
I
Luca would
they
minute
eat
may be the
to me,
anybody.
weakest.
Yeah.
Minnesota's the most vulnerable team. Chris Finch just talked about we don't have an identity. I read a report. First thing when I woke up, I went to Twitter. Anthony Edwards is dealing with a knee injury like Steph Curry just dealt with for
Sure.
27 DNPs. I think Minnesota's the target. If you want to pick a team
Mm.
that's going to be a little easier, and these are my boys, this is my squad, but just like super quick, give me a yes or no. Am, are you feeling the Minnesota Timberwolves right now?
No.
I'm not either. Doc, are you feeling the Minnesota Timberwolves?
Yes, only because playoffs is a different sport and it's a matchup thing. And I feel like Anthony Edwards being gone this last couple of weeks was for resting purposes. So I
I
feel like they're gearing up.
I completely concur with my cousin. That was my
Okay.
point.
Okay.
That was my point. And Ayo Dosunmu at the point guard position gives
Hmm.
them size and athleticism in that backcourt.
Hmm.
Something that Michael Conley was their weak link. He's not that.
Yep.
Although he had 14 points in a game the other night where he played well. That was probably his swan song. They will not
And who's
depend
the
on
other
Mike
guard?
Conley Jr.
Who's the other guard?
They have Dante.
Who's the other
They
guard?
have
Bones
No,
Island.
no.
DiVincenzo.
And they have Bones Island too.
No. Yeah,
Hyland.
Bones. Yeah, Bones. Yeah, Bones has been playing well, and I think
They're
Yes,
going
he
to be.
has.
he's
The
going to be great in
Wolves
the
are going to be
playoffs.
okay, man. The Wolves are going to be okay. Again,
I'm not feeling it.
to me, the worst of the
I
three
feel it. I'm
teams
telling you.
are the Houston Rockets. But again, the Lakers were going to struggle whether they were healthy or not. But again, I just think they may come back for game one, fellas, but they're going to be out of rhythm. They're going to be hurt. They're going to be searched on defensively. They're going to be picked on. They're going to say, you know what? Let's test your hamstring. Let's test your oblique. Let's see how good you guys can play on both ends of the floor. The Lakers are in major, you know what? They're not in major trouble. They're going to lose. They're going to lose.
I agree with that. All right, AM Pfeffer, you have as long as you want here. Will Luka and Reeves be ready for game one?
No, I got to say this first. I can't decide which I like better, Doc's voice for Dwight or Rick's voice for Thibodeau. It's an absolute toss-up. Just masterclass from both of you. I gotta say something. Will they be ready? I have no freaking idea. But I could tell you this. I'm listening to everything Dwight said, and it's got me back to the fetal position that I have been in for the last 8 days. And what do I mean by that? I am loving the Lakers so much. I'm here in LA. You hear me say it all the time. LA is way better when the Lakers are good. When Luka went down, shed many a tear. I was literally like, I love NBA basketball so much. I love when the Lakers are good. But when Reeves went down, I literally curled up in the fetal position and put the thumb in the mouth. That's where I have been. So to hear Doc tell me that they're going to be back for game one, not one of them, but both, that's where I'm at. Dwight, whatever the hell you just said, just get it off the record. I don't care about any of it. I hope you're wrong. You better be wrong about every single point you just made. And Doc, you better be right because nobody likes sleeping in the fetal position, least of all.
Facts. Hey, fellas, I got to run. I'm going to catch that flight. So,
Doc, safe travels, man.
Doc,
all right, man.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
X out.
And Dr. X is out. Yes, right there. All right, so I'll give you my answer on this. Man, my rundown keeps refreshing. That's annoying. Like I have it positioned right at the right spot, and then it just goes back to the top. It's very annoying. I don't know why it's doing it, but we press on here. It is Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network, ladies and gentlemen. Rick Kamla, Dwight Walton, AM Pfeffer, at your service. Here's my answer. Yes, they're going to be ready for game one. Do I acknowledge that they're going to be less than 100%? Oh, yeah. But they will play in game one. You have to play through soft tissue injuries in the playoffs. You have to. You don't have an option. It's your job. Kobe won a championship with an avulsion fracture to his trigger finger. So I don't want to hear it, okay? This is a fracture. This is a significant injury that should have had surgery on it, but Kobe didn't want to because it would have kept him out too long, all right? Gary Vitti told me that Kobe had to change the way he shot, where you release the ball and it comes off sort of maybe both, your index and your middle, okay? So they put some splint deal there, and he had to finish the shot with his middle finger. Kobe did, okay? Like that. And Gary said that it took him a while to adjust to that, but Kobe, being the psychopath that he was, figured it out, beat Boston in the NBA Finals, and that was Ray, KG, Paul Pierce, Rondo, Doc, the whole gang, okay? Kevin Durant risked a torn Achilles to win another ring. It ended up blowing up in his face. Still the right decision. Willis Reed. Oh, that's right. That's right. All the old heads out there are there. Yeah, tell me about Willis Reed. Willis Reed came out for game 7. I forget the year, 71, 72, whatever it was. Came out for game 7 with a severely torn right quad muscle. Okay, hit a couple of shots and then really didn't do much. Walt Frazier said after the game, after beating the Lakers in game 7, Willis provided the inspiration I provided the devastation, and a media star was born. It's literally my favorite quote in NBA history, what I just read to you right there. So I don't want to hear that you have a soft tissue injury and you're worried about a re-injury. Of course, re-injury is a possibility, but it's your job and your responsibility and your obligation to roll the dice and be there for your team. And if Reeves re-injures his oblique and is just shut down, I'm going to be out here applauding him. If Luka re-injures his hamstring and they shut him down, thank you, Luka. Thank you. I don't even care if you play well. I don't even care if you win. You just have to play. If you are prioritizing a pain-free offseason over risking re-injury in the playoffs, then you need to retire from this game like Geno Auriemma. Let's do some math. Thank you, Dwight. Geno just caught a strike. And by the way, as soon as I finish this spiel, Dwight, you're up on the Geno thing. Let's do some math. Luka and Austin Reeves suffered their injuries on April 2nd. The playoffs start on either April 18th or April 19th. And you know what, guys? The Lakers always get the league hookup. I promise you the Lakers game 1 will be on Sunday and not on Saturday to give Luka and Reeves one more day.
Good point.
I absolutely promise you.
Good
and
point.
again, I will die on that hill. That's the 3rd time I've said that in this show. Hopefully I don't die on that proverbial hill. Well, it's all in God's hands anyway, right? Meaning, okay, guys, Luka and Reeves will have almost 3 weeks off their feet to rest, rehab, recover, get ready, blah, blah, blah. But let's be honest. They're, like Dwight's been saying, and I completely agree, there is no long playoff run happening here. Whether Luka and Reeves are healthy or not, they are not good enough. This team is dead in the water with or without these guys because they're a flawed, unathletic, non-shooting, non-deep, one-sided team. That is how you lose in the playoffs, what I just read. They were 23rd in made threes in the regular season. We know their defense sucks. They have a grand total of 1 defensive player. And last I checked, he had some kind of serious injury, Marcus Smart. If Luka and Reeves don't play in game 1, the word soft will fall out of my mouth faster than that bite of pizza that you have late at night when you're super hungry and it's scalding. You're like, and you have to get it all out of your mouth. And then your tongue is all destroyed and blistered. Okay. That's how fast that will fall out of my mouth. Dwight, it's time to rewind. Is it time for Geno Auriemma to retire?
Can I use this as my rant? Because this was going to be my rant.
Okay. Yeah, hit us, man.
I've been very disappointed over the last couple of days. For me to witness what I saw on Friday night was extremely disappointing because I have nothing but the utmost respect for Geno Auriemma and what he's accomplished as a college coach. I'm here to throw him his flowers. 37 straight appearances to the NCAA tournament, 32 straight Sweet 16s, 25 trips to the Final Four, 12 championships. Nothing but respect. You deserve the respect. We understand that this season you were 38-0, and in the tournament, you were beating teams by 38 points. And last week, before the Final Four started, I called the tournament the UConn Invitational. That's how much confidence I had in you, Geno Auriemma, and your UConn roster, led by Sarah Strong and AZ Fudd. The reality on Friday night is, and I saw this coming, I don't want to call myself a prophet, a prognosticator, but based on your in between third and fourth quarter interview with ESPN's Holly Rowe, I saw this coming. I was on the phone with a friend of mine towards the end of the game, and we both said it. Watch the handshake. Something is going to happen.
Oh, wow.
I knew something was coming. And in that moment, I was not surprised at all. And we need to understand, Geno Auriemma is all about, he's the master of distraction. Stop focusing on the handshake. We all saw the initial handshake between you and Dawn and the staffs at the beginning of the game. Then, while you're waiting at half court for Dawn to come and give you the second handshake, you notice that Dawn was in her huddle trying to prepare her team to beat your team, which was the overwhelming favorite coming into the game. So instead of you waiting for, as you said, 3 minutes for Dawn to come out of her huddle, maybe you should have recognized the moment, gone back to your huddle, and prepare your team to win the basketball game. It is a lame excuse for you to focus on a handshake. All you're doing in terms of your master of distraction is deflecting the obvious coaching job that Dawn Staley and her staff, like you like to refer to in predetermined, nonsensical prepared statements, her staff and Dawn Staley specifically outcoached you that night. They were the better team that night. Maybe not for the season, but that night in a one-game scenario, you were outcoached. You recognized that and you acted like a petulant, immature child in that moment. You're a sore loser, Geno Auriemma. Sore loser to the nth degree. The way you acted, and I will give AM his flowers as well. You know what? Yes, it wasn't disrespectful to women in that moment. He simply saw Coach Staley as a coach, so I'll give him that. But again, I'm gonna go on this island here. Maybe not an island. As a black man, as a black person, there was an element of race in that confrontation as well. And I understand maybe I'm going too far, but I'm a black man in this world. I understand all of the nonsense that we've gone through as a community, as a race. And maybe it's our de facto, a default mechanism for us, a defense mechanism. But when you see a white man going at a black woman the way that he did, all I'm seeing is red. It's complete nonsense. You're a sore loser. You knew you lost to a better team that night, and you couldn't handle it. You were beating teams by 38. You hadn't been held to under 50 points since 2022, and you couldn't take it. You were pissed off. You were mad, and you choose to focus on a flippant handshake. What is the matter with you? Then you put out some BS press release talking about you're apologizing to her staff. The staff has nothing to do with this. You weren't in confrontation with the staff. You were in confrontation with Dawn Staley, a black woman that outcoached you on that night. Suck it up, take it, have class in losing. You see how Dawn Staley handed her beat down to UCLA post-conference? You see how classy she was? That's how you handle losing. You take your L, you go home, go to the golf course, and recruit better players so you can be more prepared to win championships in the future. I'm not telling you to retire. I've got too much respect for you and your legacy and your pedigree. I outlined all of your accomplishments at the start of this rant. All I'm saying is give Dawn Staley her proper respect and go and apologize to her. Again, I understand that a phone call has been made and the apology has been done behind closed doors. That's what I'm hearing. However, the same way you went at Dawn publicly is the same way you should apologize to Dawn publicly. Or at the very least, tear up that nonsensical prepared statement, put out a new statement, and apologize to Dawn Staley personally, not to the staff. That was petty. It was unprofessional. It was petulant. It was immature. You're a big overgrown child, Geno, in this regard. Please do the right thing and apologize better through a prepared statement. I'm not saying for you to have a press conference and to do it publicly. Just do the right thing. make a statement so we can all read it and have Dawn Staley's name in that on that prepared statement. What you did, I can't believe UConn allowed that to go to print. And if UConn allowed that to go to print, they are just as guilty as you are, Geno. This is a bad look for you. It stains your legacy. Again, I'm not telling you to go away. Just be better, man. Be classy, have integrity, and in defeat. This was a bad look. It pissed me off. It's pissed off the black community, quite frankly. You got to do a better job, man. This didn't look well. You're a sore loser. Get over it. Just get better next time.
Dwight, I want to talk about the man-woman thing for just a second. They're two humans. They're two goated basketball coaches. However, you have to understand the optics that the United States of America and the world is seeing. Okay? He can just arrogantly, I mean, that's the key word here. I mean, the arrogance it's unbelievable. Okay? And so obviously he doesn't care about optics. He doesn't care about consequences. He doesn't care about how Black America views him. Obviously, or he wouldn't have done that. Okay? Like, think about an NBA player, a 7-footer, and a female official makes a call that this player disagrees with. And this player goes up and gets in her face and pointing, and it's a bad look for that player. Just because you're a huge hulking man and you're getting in the face of a woman. I'm not sorry. It's a bad look. And I understand they're officials. And the gender thing really shouldn't matter, right? They have a whistle, they blow it, and they ref the game, okay? But there's optics to this, man. It's a man and a woman, okay? And in that arena, in that fight, it's not really about man versus woman. I'm talking about take yourself out of the arena. How is this being viewed by Americans, by humans on planet Earth? Not well, okay? So I would encourage them to fix that, right? And that's all I want to say on that. But Dwight, I absolutely loved your rant. Geno, I guess I do have one more thing. Geno Auriemma knows. He knows what's going on here. That's why he did this. And I'm not condoning it or justifying it. I'm just saying he knows. He's no longer the guy. Dawn Staley is. And I don't mean guy. Like, Dawn Staley's won 3 of the last 9. Geno Auriemma's won 1 of the last 9. Who's had more recent success? Dawn Staley. Okay. And I know Geno beat her 2 years ago in the national championship game, right? But the overall picture, like I said, Dr. X and I could have coached that team to a chip. But he's got 1 of the last 9. Dawn's got 3 of the last 9. Okay. So Geno knows that the tide is turning, not turning, turned. The tide has turned, past tense. Okay. So that's that. Now that is officially what I wanted to say on that. Okay. Let's get to, what do we get to here? Let's get to Dawn Staley. I want to go back to her. And I'll go, I want to go to A.M. Pfeffer first on this. A.M. Pfeffer, do you believe that Dawn Staley would succeed as an NBA head coach?
Well, not yes. Hell yes.
Thank you. Agreed.
Obama, yes. That's 50 megatons of TNT, yes. All right? That, by the way, Tsar Obama was the largest nuclear bomb the Russians ever built. Are you kidding me? Of course, Dawn Staley. Let me just say this, okay? I love Dawn Staley. I love her quotes. She's got many of them. If you don't know them, go look them up. But I've thought about Dawn Staley before. Like, you know me as the business person, right? Like, she's people first. She always talks about people first. You know, in the business community, love him or hate him, Marcus Lemonis is people, process, product. Do you know who Marcus Lemonis is? He is the prophet, CNBC. He goes in, he turns small businesses around. You know, as of late, he's had. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're giving one of these. But like, if I could equate
hands
it,
to God.
Yeah, hands to God. Like, he is well known in the business community. You know, and unfortunately, like, yeah, he's had people sue him. Yeah, behind the scenes, you always hear, is he? You know, maybe he's a little too gruff. Maybe he hasn't been the best guy to a lot of people. But he's this insanely honest, like, to your face, will tell you as it is every time. But he preaches. It's the 3 Ps. It's people, process, product. Like, Dawn Staley is people, process, product, especially the first two, and she understands the product very well. So she is tremendous. She is a leader of leaders. Like, as a coach, would she succeed in the hell to the yes? She'd be incredible. And I know she's interviewed previously. I hope she keeps interviewing. I'm sorry to South Carolina players. I'd love to see her become the first head coach in the NBA. No one else out there, deserves that opportunity more than her to do that. So, like, would she succeed? Yeah, I think she'd be more than successful. I hope she gets her chance someday because obviously she's interviewed. And it's well known. It's well documented that she may very well leave. I doubt she'd leave South Carolina for any other job in the NCAA, but potentially in the NBA, especially because she was a head coach. And yeah, she would succeed, unquestionably.
I agree with that last part. Dan Hurley was recently asked, and he basically said, I would never go to another college program, but at the end of UConn, I'm probably going to go to the NBA. He kind of already put that out there. Obviously, the Lakers already wanted him. So I'll give you my answer here. Would Dawn Staley succeed as an NBA head coach? I'm the same as AM. Oh, hell yeah. Or, put some hot sauce on that. What do they say? I put that bleep on everything. Put some hot sauce on there. That's a great product slogan, by the way. I love that. I am super ready to have a female coach in the NBA. I'm ready for it, okay? Because it's going to be new and different and exciting and very, very interesting and a case study and pioneer, and it's just all that stuff. Come on, bring it on. Bring it on. We have talked about it for years. Becky Hammon's gotten interviews. Dawn Staley's gotten interviews. I didn't look it up, but I'm sure maybe some other female head coaches have gotten interviews too. But I just kind of focused on these two ladies here. Staley was interviewed by the Knicks last summer. I promise you that team would be more healthy right now if Dawn Staley was the coach instead of Mike Brown. I promise. They should have never fired Tibbs, but I've said that 1,000 times. Staley also interviewed for the Portland job back in 2021 when Dame Lillard was still there. Becky Hammon has taken interviews with the Bucks, the Blazers, and the Magic over the years, according to reports. Pretty much every coaching staff in the NBA has at least one female on it now, if not multiple, okay? I strongly believe that NBA players would buy into a female coach, but it's got to be the right coach with the right temperament, the right mentality, the right intelligence, and the most important thing of all, the right resume, okay? Because you can't go in there as like maybe a hotshot WNBA head coach or hotshot women's basketball coach, and you didn't play and you're not a Hall of Famer, and it's different, okay? Dawn Staley was a Hall of Fame player and a Hall of Fame coach. Becky Hammon, Hall of Fame player and Hall of Fame coach. I don't think they're in the Hall yet as a coach, but they will be. You guys get my point, though. They're goated as players and coaches. How could they not command respect with any room they walk into? Whether you're man, woman, black, white, alien, from Mars, from Jupiter, you have to respect them. If you don't, you're an idiot, okay? Also, Dawn Staley would succeed as an NBA coach because hard-ass coaches get results.
Thank you.
Were the Knicks better with Tom Thibodeau or the soft and cute and cuddly Mike Brown? You don't even need to answer that. We all know. Think about this. JB Bickerstaff is a hard ass. That's why Don Mitchell kicked him out. Joe Mazzulla's a badass. JJ Redick is a badass. Okay, I should say hard ass. He don't give a you-know-what about your feelings, and I love it. Ime Udoka is a hard ass coach. Bickerstaff, Mazzulla, Redick, and Udoka are four of the best coaches in the NBA right now. They're winning 50 games every single year, blah, 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 blah. The NBA needs more hard-ass coaches like Tibbs and Sam Mitchell. Dawn is a hard-ass coach, and I'm convinced that today's NBA players would respect her, respond very well to her mix of tough love, strategy, and swagger, okay? I love Dawn Staley's swagger, how she dresses, how she talks. She's from North Philly, right? And so I'm just a huge fan. I've made that point a bunch of times. So Dwight Walton, it is your turn right now. Would Dawn Staley succeed as an NBA head coach?
What do players command the most when they're looking at their leader? They command respect, credibility, somebody who's done it as a player. Dawn Staley has done all of that. Becky Hammon has done all of that. Becky Hammon has won a championship albeit in the Las Vegas Summer League, but she coached the San Antonio Spurs to a Summer League championship. Players, okay, again, we understand the dynamic male-female. We get that. But at the end of the day, coaches respect leaders who have done it. Champions, command a room, leaders of men or women. Dawn Staley, Becky Hammon. The world is ready. The NBA world is ready for Dawn Staley and Becky Hammon to be NBA head coaches. We see female coaches littered across the NBA as assistants in the NBA. Just watch all the games. You'll see women all the time. It is coming, fellas. It's on the horizon. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for it. And it's to the point now, we understand that interviews are given just for PR purposes to say we've done this. But when you're interviewing Becky Hammon and Dawn Staley, it's not for views. It's not for clicks. It's not for PR positivity in the social media world. Dawn Staley and Becky Hammon are getting interviewed because they deserve it. They're respected. They're champions. And they know that players will go through the wall for both of them. That's why I don't know if they're going to make that jump, but both of them are primed candidates to be future coaches in the NBA. Both of them. I know the questions about Dawn, but both of them would definitely succeed in the NBA as coaches. Yes, you surround them with the proper coaching staff, just the whole protocol that will be in place. Of course, males need help. Why not females? Either way, both coaches would be great in the NBA. I know I'd play for them. All the players in the NBA would play for them because they have the credibility. They've done it both as players, as coaches, and there's full support. Just go to social media. They will talk highly about Becky Hammon. They will definitely talk highly about Dawn Staley. Dawn Staley is well respected across the basketball universe. You can best believe Dawn Staley will be successful as an NBA head coach.
All right, Dwight, I'm going to ride the hot hand. I'm feeding you, big fella. We got to circle back. Remember, I asked Doc for his prediction on tonight's national championship game. This is our final topic, and then we're going to give you our rant. Don't click off now. Don't click off now. Your boy is about to pop off with my rant, okay? Yeah, Golden State style, but you're going to like this one. So Dwight, of course, Doc, I mean, he gave really good reasons. They're going to muck it up, and they're going to kind of make the game ugly and play defense and bring the scoring down like a lot of interesting, clever thoughts. But he had UConn and wait a minute, I'm tripping. No. Sorry guys. He had UConn against Michigan tonight. So Dwight, you said that you called this final game in your bracket pre-tournament, which again is very, very impressive. By the way, as you're talking, I'm going to look up our tournament pool. Have you already won it? Like, is it yours? Have you already won it? Because you and B-Dot were neck and neck for it.
If I win the game tonight, I believe you outlined it last week. I need 100. If I win, I get 142 points. B-Dot is up for 136, I believe. But I will outright win the tournament bracket challenge if Michigan wins tonight. Yes.
So you are. I think you've already won it because B-Dot can only have, he's done. All of his teams are out. So he topped out at 90 points. If UConn wins tonight, Doc can get up to 119. You're currently at 110. Oh, wow. So if UConn wins, you get no points. Doc gets the points and wins the pool. How about that? Okay, so how about that? Oh, I'm so glad I looked. Okay. Wow. As if you guys needed another thing to bicker about. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, that's incredible. Okay, yeah, give us your prediction, man.
No, so like I said, pre-tournament, my bracket was busted very early in the process, but ultimately I had Michigan and UConn meeting in the game tonight, with Michigan winning 75-72. Again, I'll go back to what I said to Mitch Lawrence and the rest of the crew here. Dan Hurley is the master of using bulletin board material. He's been hearing it before the Final Four. He's been hearing it since Michigan put that beat down on Arizona a couple of nights ago. The whole world expects Michigan to not walk over UConn, but to beat UConn tonight. Now, again, two key players are compromised going into this matchup. Michigan's Yaxel Lundenberg and UConn's Solomon/Solo Ball. So we'll see what happens and how they play tonight. But at the end of the day, both teams are well coached. Both teams are very European pressed by this. They both use those styles of play, but ultimately, and they both have veteran rosters. Although Braylon Mullins for UConn is very instrumental in how they play. Taris Reed on the front court has been fantastic for UConn. But I just think the front line of Ade Mara, Morez Johnson Jr., and the aforementioned Yaxel Lundenberg is going to be too much for the UConn roster this evening. Again, I'm very, very impressed with how Elliot Godot has been playing for Michigan. They've been good, Michigan. They've been the best team of this tournament as far as I'm concerned. But never underestimate a coach and a team that uses being the underdog to their advantage more than Dan Hurley and the UConn Huskies. I expect a very competitive game tonight. Again, as much as I'm thinking UConn, I'm going to stick to my bracket. Michigan will beat UConn tonight, 75-72. I'll win the tournament bracket challenge. I hope my score comes to fruition, but I'm fully expecting a highly competitive, a highly emotional, a highly pressurized. It's going to be a great, great game, and I firmly believe it's going to come down to the final possessions inside of 2 minutes. Michigan over UConn, 75-72.
I kind of hear Dwight saying that UConn's going to cover the spread, but Michigan's going to win it. I kind of hear him saying that. It's a 6.5 point spread.
It's in there. Yes.
So AM Pfeffer, I'm on pins and needles here, dude. Who are you going with, Michigan or UConn?
Rick, Dwight, the head says Michigan. The heart says UConn. So I'm going to go to my tricky left knee, which always acts up when the weather gets dark outside. And my friends, a storm is a brewing. Dan Hurley is a hurricane, thunderstorm, gale force winds, like earthquake all in one, right? Like he's a straight up tornado, this guy.
Can you throw tsunami in there? Or you want to throw a tsunami in there too?
Bring it, man. Like he is an absolute tsunami. He is a force to be reckoned with when he wants to. 3 of the last 4 finals have been played under this man's tutelage. Like, this is insane who he is and what he understands about college basketball. I just think he's got a game plan. He understands what it is and who he's going up against, and I've got to give him that clout and really, truly the comprehension of what it takes to win the game. And I agree with Doc. Like, Doc talks about mucking it up, and when you've got to play a college basketball game the right way, you've got to muck it up. I mean, whatever it takes, throw in like Petey Carrill backdoor passes, whatever it's going to be, like in Bo Princeton, whatever you got to do defensively, take out their best player, the 2 best player. Like, Hurley just understands this. The storm is a brewing, man. My knee is twitching. UConn.
I ain't mad.
I'm not mad either. It's still 6.5, by the way. So that line has remained static here. Okay, my prediction is, let me get to, I got UConn. I don't feel great about it. I am not willing to die on this hill. I'm not. Okay, I'm smarter than that. But Dan Hurley is 11-0 in the Sweet 16 or later as the head coach of UConn. Let that sink in for a minute. Sweet 16 or beyond, he's never lost. Now, tonight could be the first one, but that's just very impressive, and it speaks to how good everything you guys said It's finding a way to win arguably the toughest games in sports, which are NCAA tournament games. Because I think, Dwight, you said, like with you don't have to be better than them for a 7-game series. You just got to beat them today. You don't even have to be the better team overall. You just got to be the better team on that day. And so that makes it more difficult. Obviously, it becomes chalky in a 7-game series. The best team usually wins out of that. Okay. But guys, UConn is used to this. Michigan is not. How many times have you seen a natty where one team had nerves and jitters, and you'd hear Jim Nance and now Ian Eagle, they may be a little tight here early in the game, right? UConn will have no jitters at all. Michigan, I'm not saying they will. I don't know. We'll see the game tonight, but they might have jitters. Okay, especially they've got nothing but pats on the back and attaboys and pats on the butt for 2 days. Okay, as the kids say, they've been glazed for 2 days. Okay, and UConn has been doubted and dissed for 2 days. So that matters going into this game. Not to me, but I think on the wood. To beat Michigan, you have to drop their offensive production. You have to. Okay, Michigan is averaging 95.3 points in this tournament. If they hit that number, they'll probably win this game by 18 points or something like that, okay? They have beaten their opponents in this tournament, Michigan, by 21.6 points per game. That's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. 21.6 points per game in the men's tournament. Wild, okay? But guess what? Remember UConn's average margin of victory going into the South Carolina game? It was 32.5. Who won the game? South Carolina, okay? Weird stuff happens in these games. UConn is a great defensive team with a mastermind coach. They will have a strong game plan. We know this. UConn is 10th in the nation in fewest points allowed per game at 65. Think about that. They give up 65 a game. Michigan scored 95 in the tournament. Something's got to give, folks. Something's got to give. UConn is going to make Michigan uncomfortable defensively. Well, Michigan on the offensive end with the UConn defense. But Dwight, I agree. It's going to be a one-possession game. It's going to be a nail-biter. The great Ian Eagle's going to have a fantastic live call, a la the Braylon Mullins live call that he was fortunate enough to get. Styles make fights, and this is going to be a very, very good one tonight. A.M. Pfeffer, I usually go first with the rant, but I want you to go first here. And then I'm going to go to Dwight. Dwight, you can just maybe do a final thought or something like that, or you can just take a pass, and then I'll finish this out here with my rant. But A.M. Pfeffer, you go first, man.
Yeah, guys, I'm mad at all of you. Literally, everyone. Rick, Dwight, Doc, Jason, Kai, my personal friend group. I got family mad. I'm like mad literally at every single person in my life. Why? Last week I was gone. I took the kids on spring break. I checked out for a couple days myself. I'm trying to enjoy myself. I need a little break. And what happens? The freaking Olympic tickets went on sale in Los Angeles, and nobody reminded me. Nobody told me. I missed out on the first wave. Now I'm dipping my hand into this in my pocket for the second, the secondary market when it comes in a couple of years. Why am I blaming all of you? Well, obviously I can't blame myself. I can't just take okay, this is entirely my fault. It's my responsibility. But damn it, I have missed out on every ticket and the opportunity to have bought something, at least on the first market. But I will happily play the second. Yeah, Noodles is right. Get Noodles on here.
Noodles.
I'll happily pay the secondary market when this comes in a couple of years. I'm so freaking excited for the Olympics to be here. My kids are going to be like rounding into just the age where they're like okay going to sporting events and not asking me to leave after 11 minutes. So it's going to be awesome. Right. But shame on all of you. Damn all of you. Jason and Kai especially. You two could have sent me a text, something.
I'll tell you what, my boys back in the day, they were good sports, right? With one exception, when we'd go to an afternoon Braves game, right? And it was back at Turner Field before their new stadium. And you guys know they call it Hot Atlanta for a reason. So you're out there in July, it's 85 and humid, big yellow ball, just just scorching you, right? Like a 500-degree oven and a pizza's been thrown in there. But other than that, they were troopers. All right, Dwight, the floor is yours. Wherever you want to go, any final thoughts, any rants, maybe something else popped up that's in your craw right now?
No, just I want to talk to everybody that's involved with the NBA and the WNBA. Basketball's in a great place. The WNBA is about to have possibly their best season ever. Today, free agency opened up. Angel Reese was traded to the Atlanta Dream for 2 first-round picks, futures first-round pick, I believe, in 2028. I believe she's the ultimate championship piece to what's going to be a possible championship season with the Atlanta Dream. They were 30-14 without her last year. We could talk about all of her missed layups till we're blue in the face. She's an elite rebounder. She's an above board defender. Yes, can she improve as an offensive player? Absolutely. But in terms of being a glue added piece to a championship roster, the Atlanta Dream have picked a good one here. Also, I think Angel will be fantastic in that Atlanta market for a myriad of reasons. Again, the culture, the way she dresses, the way she interacts with people. She's a celebrity. Atlanta will use that to all of their advantage. It will work out both on and off the floor. So I'm looking very much forward to that. Seeing Toronto and Portland being brought in as expansion franchises. The Houston Comets were bought for $300 million. I believe AM mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. You can't tell me that the WNBA doesn't have any money. And based on the CBA, you can tell that there's money that's coming in very confidently in the WNBA. One of the questions I posed to Chastity Melvin last week, I wanted to pose to the great Ann Meyers today. I honestly believe the WNBA is going to end up playing in the winter. The summer is too small. I know that's a big road to hoe. I just think the WNBA needs to be performed on an even larger platform. The women are here, ladies and gentlemen. They're here to stay. The way basketball has just taken off entirely. I'm looking so much forward to it. We all know how I feel about the parity in the NBA. The WNBA is right behind it. Basketball is in a great place. I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm happy to be alive to see the growth. I'm looking so much forward to what's in store for us in basketball in general around the world.
Again, just a big old feel good right there. 2 things, and then I'll give you my rant. You said that Angel Reese is an elite rebounder, and you're right. I want to take it a step north of that. She is the best rebounder in the women's game on planet Earth, even better than A'ja Wilson. And statistically speaking, on her first 2 years, it's been 2 years, right? Statistically speaking, she is going to go down as the greatest rebounder in WNBA history. Okay. So to me, these are truths / predictions. I've never seen a better. She's the Rodman of the WNBA. And I know Annie Meyers doesn't like the NBA WA comparisons. I'll try to clean that up, but it's the best I can do right now in this moment. And then the other thing, y'all know that I lived and worked in the Atlanta market for 11 years, right? I absolutely love Atlanta and the state of Georgia, the people, all the things you can do, the sports teams. It's just fantastic, okay? Atlanta loves stars. I know this about this city. And you can say, well, every city, not like Atlanta, okay? Yep. Atlanta is Hollywood East. Hollywood East is not New York City. It's Atlanta, Georgia, okay? And I saw something on IG the other day. There are more movies being made in Atlanta right now than Hollywood. I still find that kind of hard to believe, but I saw it. So it was on the internet.
Tyler Perry Studios there, Rick.
Yeah. So it was on the internet, so it's got to be true, right? Anyway, so here's my rant. The Warriors, and I'm not sorry. The Warriors continue to piss me off. Like some politician that you hate may piss you off, right? And we're certainly not going down the political road here. But I'm not trying to get mad about this team. They continue to irritate the hair off my head, okay? They may be the most dislikable team of all time for me right now. I can't stand the Warriors right now. And I love Steph Curry. It ain't him. It's not his fault. So Steph returned last night in that barn burner against the Houston Rockets. He missed 2 months, 27 games in a row with a persistent knee injury. And he came off the bench last night in his return. It's the first time Steph Curry came off the bench in a regular season game in 14 years. Pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. I've got a nickname for Rick Celebrini, the head of medical performance with the Golden State Warriors, or whatever his title is. Because he's not my guy. I don't rock with Rick Celebrini. It's Rick forfeit the game Celebrini. That's what they do. They forfeit games. The real coach of the Golden State Warriors is Rick Celebrini. It's not Steve Kerr, okay? Rick Celebrini tells Kerr who's going to play and how long they're going to play. So who is coaching this team? And by the way, I actually think Rick Celebrini could do a better job of allocating minutes than Steve Kerr. He has the ugliest box scores I've ever seen. It's like you got a guy playing 7 minutes and a guy playing 9 minutes and a guy playing 12 and a guy playing 17 and a guy playing 18 and a guy playing 32 and a guy playing 20. Figure. Okay, I just got to settle down. I got to settle down. Just you know how passionate and intense I am about sports, and this just boils my blood. Okay, but Rick forfeit the game Celebrini's the real coach of the Golden State Warriors. This is not the first time I've said that. And so now I'm going to bang on Rick forfeit the game Celebrini. All right. He is softer with his mentality than Ben Simmons. Okay. SOFT. He is softer than a pillow. He is softer than cashmere. Okay. Like that shirt Dr. X was wearing today. You know, I mean, that it looked like cashmere or velvet. I don't know.
It was a nice shirt, though.
Exactly. And I promise you, he didn't get that on the clearance rack. Okay. I promise you that. All right. Softer than James Harden in Game 6. Softer than Kyler Murray with a boo-boo. Softer than Andrea Bargnani, Dwight. Softer than Darko Milicic. And yes, softer than Anthony Davis. That's how soft Rick forfeit the game Celebrini is. Guys, last night, Steph Curry had 29 points in 26 minutes. That was a 40 ball from Steph last night. If he plays 32 minutes, okay, played 26 minutes, 11 of 21, made 5 threes, made a bunch of clutch shots, missed the potential game winner at the buzzer because Podziemski is a mess. Okay, he completely screwed. Was supposed to come up and set a double screen with Draymond. And like they crowd Steph, and he gets a shot off, but it's all contested. Podziemski, that L's on you, bro. Anyway, if Steph plays 5 more minutes in that game, he plays 31 total. To me, they would have won that game. Okay, and you start building momentum for the play-in tournament or wherever the hell that's where. It's not going very far. But Warriors tyrant Rick forfeit the game Celebrini strikes again, once again getting in the way of his own team's success. But they just love him out there. They treat him like he's G-O-D. Please stop doing that. There is only one of them, okay? But you talk to anybody, Rick Celebrini, we love Rick Celebrini. Like he's just foolproof. The guy sucks. He's softer than Anthony Davis, for crying out loud. All right. As you can see, I'm out of voice. We're out of time. This has been an absolutely amazing show. Big, huge shout out with a bunch of love to Annie Meyers Drysdale. Guys, I reached out to her yesterday, late afternoon after UCLA won. She got back to me at 1:12 a.m. You know, she's in a different time zone and stuff like that. And was like, let's talk in the morning. We talked, and an hour before the show, we booked her. So, Annie, that is the dope stuff right there. All right, making some time for us, coming and talking to UCLA. Love to Annie Meyers Drysdale. Big love to Mitch Lawrence as well. And for Dr. X, for Dwight Walton, for A.M. Pfeffer, for our great behind the glass crew of Jason Arambulo and Kai Josephson, I'm Rick Kamla. We encourage you to watch us again Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the next edition Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. Thank you all.